Hey, this is Steve Gaines from Anger Resort. You know me from several other bands. I'm not the guy from Leonard Skinner. You are experiencing Poppitt's Corner.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Poppitt's Corner. Definitely looking forward to these as always, and we're going to go to the New Jersey area and somebody that Shannon is very familiar with, and I have loved meeting him last time, and I'm stoked to get the opportunity to talk with him again. The great Vinny DiBianca of Vicious Circle, and of course some other killer bands which we will get into. But Vinny, how you doing, man? Thanks again for giving us a
Doing
few
good,
minutes of your
brothers.
time,
How are
dude.
you? How are you guys? Doing
Hell
good?
yeah, good.
Some
good.
metalheads. How you doing, Shannon? You all right, brother?
I'm
It's good
good,
to see
man.
you, man.
Got my Coke. I'm hanging in now.
There you go. There you go, brother. There you go.
He's got that white powder. He's all stoked and ready to rock. So
That's it.
anyway, but so you know how we do it on here. We're gonna pretty much go through your entire career, have some fun, and just tell some stories, man. So if you both are ready, let's just fucking rock it,
Dude.
huh?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Let's let some shit spill out.
So Vinny, so give me the first kind of recollection of you hearing music for the first time. What was the band that kind of did it for you?
Well, okay. So there was a couple things. You know what I mean? It's like I'd have to say probably the one professional, most popular, I guess artist was Elvis. Definitely Elvis, man. You know, my my parents split, so I was real young, and we moved from South Philly back to Berlin. So like my mother, she would date here and there. She dated this fella, and he was real big into Elvis. You know what I mean? So we would go over his house, and it was just they would just play records, play records, and I was just like, this is awesome, man. Who's this? And they're like, oh, it's the King. I'm like, yeah, the King. It's like that's killer. I didn't even know, you know what I mean? I was like single digits, man. But then I started like looking at the album covers and stuff, man. I was like, this guy's name's Elvis Presley, and dude, the shit was good, man. I really liked it. It wasn't the big hits that I liked, you know what I mean? It was like the obscure things that you never knew that he did, you know what I mean, on these albums and stuff. But it was cool. So Elvis was definitely the biggest pro. The other introduction to music was being in an Italian family, we would come back from church, we would eat on Sunday. Then after that, dinner, everybody's putting the dishes away and stuff. And then, some of the wine comes out, you know what I mean? And, everybody sits around drinking a little bit. Then the guitar comes out, mandolin comes out. So they would just sing around, just like play guitar real, live, like right in front of me at the dinner table. You know what I mean? All, tuned up a little bit, but singing in Italian and stuff, man, you felt good when you were in that room. You know what I mean? You felt good. You just felt like, wow, this is awesome. Like everybody was enjoying it. Everybody's having a good time, and they wouldn't teach me Italian because we were in America. So they were like, you need to know English and stuff. So sadly I was robbed of my, my heritage's language, but I know the curse words though. Curse words I know for sure. But anyway, so that was just the feel. Like I grew up around it. Always, Frank Sinatra in the house, you know what I mean? And, Louis Prima, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it was like, that's kind of pretty much the first introduction that I really remember, like really like wanting to hear it again and remembering what I heard, man, was Elvis. He was the bomb.
I want to go back to one point that you just made with your family to break out instruments and whatnot. I'm just kind of curious, how big of a family are we talking about? Was it like a whole band, or is this just one individual that would bust it out and then everybody would start singing? Or
that was basically it.
Okay.
So with Italians as well, you know what I mean? Everybody's family, you know what I mean? You're related somehow, cousins, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it was like the whole gang that always got together. That was real old school. Everybody had the broken English and all that, you know what I mean? Everybody was, right over. So, it was just, like they would just after dinner, you know what I mean? It was like, drinking some wine, doing some shots of like Anisette or whatever, you know what I mean? They never went too hardcore, you know what I mean? They were pretty old, but even though they were all gnarled up, you know what I mean? Had arthritis and shit, man, they were old, but it's like, my Uncle Al, we called him Kabar Al, you know what I mean? That's for like Godfather and stuff, you know what I mean? But, you know, it was my mother's godfather. So, you know, so we called him Kabar Al. So he would, you know, break out the acoustic guitar. And then there was this other fella, man, his name was Lou Fecca. He was awesome. Break out the mandolin, and he would just sit and they would just start playing. And then one of them would just start humming. They didn't even sing the words or anything yet. It would start with the hum, you know what I mean? Kind of like a warm-up, a build-up. It was weird. But it was only the two of them, one guitar, one mandolin, but everybody sang. It was awesome, man. It really was. It was cool growing up back in the day, man. It's just not like that anymore, man. It's a shame.
How
It really
old were
is.
you during this time?
Oh, my God, man. 5, 6.
Okay, so we're like
Yeah.
really
Oh,
early. here.
early, man. Yeah. But like, sadly, most of the things that I remember as a kid was just, you know, music related, you know.
How is that sad?
some
I'm just
bad
kind of
happened.
curious, just because music to me is like it should bring everybody together, you know. I don't know how
Yeah.
that's sad to only remember stuff musically related. So
Oh no, it's not. I was just kind of busting on myself, man. I forget a lot of shit nowadays, man. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, all them years ago, it's like, fuck, dude. It's like, man, how did that go again?
well, I want to touch upon Elvis real quick, and I just kind of curious, was it visually stimulating for you to be like to be like, what the fuck is this attached to the music, or did you just kind of put on the record at first? Were you sniffing through album covers and just being like I want to listen to this? What is this? Or did somebody just happen to put it on and then you discovered the image and just the whole mystique of Elvis?
It was totally the music at first. They had a record player, you know what I mean? They had the really nice console, man, with the TV, you know, built in with the record player on the top. You know what I mean? It was awesome. And you know, it went really loud, and they would always just put the albums on, you know. So it was. I didn't take a look at the album covers until they showed me. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, this is who you're listening to, you know. And I was like, oh, you know, Elvis, yeah, that's the king, you know. It's like, you know, he's the king of rock and roll. So I was like, well, you know, let me check him out. And I really loved it, man. I really did. But it was the obscure stuff that I liked. You know what I mean? Like I think I mentioned before. I think it was called. One of the songs was Tiger Man. I just remember it had Tiger Man in it. You know what I mean? It was an intro, had something, and then slash Tiger Man. That was one hell of an upbeat rock and roll tune that was really fucking cool, man. And I like that kind of stuff. You know, the more upbeat, the more I don't know. You know what I mean? It's, you know, I mean, the love stuff. You know what I mean? I was never really too impressed by that. But I mean, back in the day, you know what I mean? Everything was really cool. It was good. You know, I
Sure.
was never really a big lyric guy. I was always music anyway, you know. That's why I stuck with guitar.
And for that time period, though, Elvis was very rebellious, you know, like for
Oh
especially
yeah.
during his time. So it would make a lot of sense why you would gravitate towards that specific style and whatnot, and
Yeah.
learn about the whole mystique of it. So I could see that, you know, being a huge factor in your specific wheelhouse and why it is that you're, you know, sitting with us here today and playing rock music and whatnot. But
Right.
I want to kind of venture to the next chapter of this. When did
Wait,
you
wait, hold on, hold on.
okay.
Since you were really into Elvis, and he made all those movies, were you influenced by the movies as well?
It was the opposite. I liked his music and I watched his movies and he would sing some of his hits, you know what I mean? And I knew him, you know what I mean? And you know, it was cool. I liked watching Elvis, but I liked listening to him better, you know what I mean? There was just a music. There wasn't a visual stimulation whatsoever. I mean, no matter how you want to look at it, it wasn't his the way he kept himself, the way he performed or anything like that. It was just the music, you know. That was pretty much it. But I did love the movies, though. I did. You know, I like it. He's got the pretty girl, so I was like, "Yeah, go King, you go King, do it."
So when was the next venture in your specific career where you were discovering heavier style bands, musically speaking, not just rebellious at the time, but I'm talking heavy style bands, and what were they?
Okay, so like, what time period are you talking? Like immediately after my Elvis thing?
Yes,
Okay,
correct. Like 6, 7, 8, 9 era.
yeah. Okay, so I'm old enough in order to have listened and owned 8 tracks. I was a kid though; I was really young. But anyway, so one of my aunts, she had an 8-track player. She gave it to me, 2 little speakers. I had my own little room, like little spot in the living room where like I could have my albums or my all my music stuff. It was just, I don't know, I was just gravitated to it ever since I was a kid. So I had 8-track tapes, and they had Kiss Alive 2, Kiss Alive 1, had Fleetwood Mac Rumors on there. There was, oh my God, they had Black Sabbath, the original Black Sabbath. So it was like, I just listened to what was available to me. You know what I mean? But I know the stuff on TV, all that poppy, I don't like happy. It don't work with me. You know what I mean? It just doesn't, if it works for other people, good for you. It's just not my thing, So like, yeah, I always gravitated towards anything that was heavier anyway. But I really, and Santana. My mother had albums hidden in the. They always said that they would hide the liquor on the top shelf in the closet, and then underneath that was her albums, my mom's albums, because we lived with my grandfather and my grandmother. Yeah, so I found all them. I found the Rock and Rye. I found all this other kind of shit up there. You know what I mean? And so I would go and like take a little sip. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh yeah, man, don't ever replace liquor with water. They will know. They will know. And when I was the only child, man, I got my ass beat, man. When you were allowed to beat the shit out of kids, I didn't do that again. I said, fuck the water, man, Then I actually then I thought I was smart. So I would like mix, like I would drink some of the whiskey or something. I'd be like, oh, okay, look, there's some vodka. So I pour the thing together, you know what I mean? To like because there's a line. They're like, they better always stay in that line, Vincenzo. I was like, don't worry about it. I got it. I won't drink it. I'm not like that, Mom. So, of course, I had to try. Oh, man. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. But anyway, so, yeah. So, I mean, between the 8-track and the albums that my mother had, she had the Beatles White Album. That was good. You know what I mean? Like, everything was new. So like I appreciated everything, and it was like, you know what I mean? It's like I always tried to listen to a song as a whole, but then it's like I always kind of gravitated towards something in a song, you know what I mean? Or a band, something predominant would always just pop out at you, you know what I'm saying? So like I liked all those different bands for different reasons, with different members in the band and stuff, you know what I mean? But like when you listen to it as a whole, everything really came together really well. So I was a big music lover. It just didn't matter. I just loved music. You know what I mean? I was never really big on country. You know what I mean? I'm sure everybody says that. You know what I mean? It's just, and I don't hate on country. I just can't relate with it, So I just don't relate with it. It's just, yeah, So I gravitated towards metal. Jazz, love jazz, flamenco. Those are my things, you know what I mean? I love jazz, and I love the flamenco, and I love metal, and I love weird music, obscure stuff.
Right, but how much of that can be, I guess, taken back to when you and your family were playing music together? Because obviously the mandolin is kind of a weird instrument, especially if you're hearing it first. So I'm just kind of curious how that specific time period kind of translated into you discovering these quote unquote weird style music and instruments, and having a more appreciation for them, especially around that age, because that's very rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yep. I mean, for Christmas when I was a kid, my mom knew I liked Elvis and stuff. I mean, she gave me like this little, I think it was a Lori, like a acoustic guitar. It was real, mini scaled. Couldn't tune worth a fuck. You know what I mean? It's like, even if I knew what I was doing, it wouldn't stay in tune anyway. You hit it, got but I mean, either way, you know what I mean? I would run around and be like, yeah, Elvis, this is cool. It was funny, man. I was a weird nerd. And same thing, like, when I first got into Kiss, you know what I mean? I was like, yo, man, these guys are fucking heavy, dude. I was like, this is cool, And, I mean, of course, Black Sabbath came on, and I was just like instantly like, oh, this is like listening to a horror movie, dude. I fucking love this, man. You know what I mean? So, like, of course, I gravitated a little bit more towards the heavy, left some of the, the happy-go-lucky stuff, you know what I mean? But, like, everything that I liked and everything that I listened to, man, kind of led me to what I am today, So I don't regret anything. I love music that people would think that I don't, you know, and I don't judge people by that. I think if you like just one style of music or something like that, it's like, you're really, you're cutting yourself off to so much more that you could possibly do, even to get an idea or something, musically, and play it yourself, have some fun, I don't know.
Sure. Well, and going off
Did
of
I
this,
answer the question?
well,
Yeah.
I guess
Hopefully I did.
I guess that would mean that it played a lot into it. I guess from what I'm hearing, but I don't want to put words in your mouth here. Where, you know,
Oh yeah, okay, right. I'm sorry. So yeah, so I mean, I had the guitar when I was a kid and all that, but they wouldn't let me touch any of the instruments, man, when I was a kid. You know what I mean? But I every time that we would get together, I mean, I would listen and I'd be like, oh man, this is awesome. Like I would look forward to it. You know what I mean? It's like, when you're a kid, you know what I mean? You pretty much know the routine of the family, you know what I mean? Every Sunday, you know what I mean? Gravy, meatballs, you know what I mean? Sausage, brajol. And then then the They Go Red comes out, you know what I mean? Everybody drinking the wine, you know what I mean? And feeling good, laughing. Then then the Italian jokes start. So it's the Italian jokes come out first. And then after that, then someone will just like start humming something, you know what I mean? Like, one of the old Italian songs, and then the guitar comes out, you know what I mean? Because it's there in the stand in the corner, mandolins in a little case, you know what I mean? It was just really cool. I mean, it was like I was pretty fortunate to like actually grow up around people that played. You know what I mean? My Uncle Rick, same thing. Married to my godmother, which is my mom's younger sister. He always played guitar. You know what I mean? And it was always acoustic. And we didn't even like the same kind of music, but it was just that he would pick up the guitar. We would get together. You know what I mean? Like Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, you have dinner, everybody's chilling out, everybody's half falling asleep from eating so much. He would just pick up a guitar and just start strumming and just start singing. And I don't even really know what the hell the songs were, but, I mean, I really liked it, you know what I mean? And like, so I started paying attention. Just every time he would pick it up, I would gravitate towards the room that he was in and just listen. Then he had a hell of a collection of music. He had Journey. He had all kinds of stuff. I mean, God, like Cat Stevens to like, Billy Joel, Elton John, I mean, and then the Santana and, like all that kind of stuff, I didn't really find any of the obscure jazz until I kind of like just bought one of them off of a whim. And it was just fucking amazing, man. Changed me, dude. Fucking Al Di Meola, Electric Rendezvous.
How
God
about
damn.
how about
God damn, dude.
the East Coast and Detroit were famous for like the bebop stuff? Were you into that at all, or like Frankie Valli and that kind of stuff? Even though
I loved Grease. Okay, I did. I loved Grease, bro. I loved Saturday Night Fever, man. You know what I mean? John Travolta. I mean, I'm Vinny, so it's like, I was always Vinny Barbarino. You know what I mean? Everybody called me Vinny Barbarino. You know what I mean? Hey, Barbarino. I'm like, yeah, fungal. But then after, then again to, my cousin Vinny, with Joe Pesci, you know what I mean? It gravitated. People, most of the young people don't even know anything about the Welcome Back Kotter thing. But, I don't know. I mean, it was like, John Travolta was cool. You know what I mean? It was long hair. You know what I mean? I related with that kind of shit, And even though it's stupid, we probably nothing alike. You know what I mean? But, it was just a look. You know what I mean? I was like, hey, man, he's pretty cool.
well, hindsight is always 2020, so you'd have to put yourself back in that specific time period.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
because that we got to remember, Saturday Night Fever was huge. I mean,
huge.
massive. So,
No. The
let's.
Grease soundtrack.
Oh yeah, there's
Clearly one of the best orchestrated, pieces of music ever, man. And you know what I mean? Whether you like that style or not, I mean, it was great shit. And I'll fight anybody tell me that shit sucks because it don't. You know what I mean? Try writing that, beauty. That was good stuff. I did, I liked funk a lot. You know what I mean? I liked a lot of the funk. So I did like the disco kind of, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say that I was too into the stuff like the disco, but the Bee Gees, very fucking impressive band, dude. Very impressive. You kidding? Incredible. So, I mean, I did like that shit. My mother had all those albums, you know what I mean? So, like, I listened to those too. Yeah. My mother had Donna Summers. I used to listen to Donna Summers. Love Donna Summers, right? Oh my God. Who else?
So
I mean,
it looks like it sounds like you had quite the collection, like I said, of music in your palette, and I think I would like to put that. I'm just going to speak for me. It sounds like a lot of it came from just growing up in a very musical household. Was you having an appreciation for more styles of music, right?
oh yeah, yep,
So
yeah.
let's move ahead real quick. I'm just kind of curious. When did you start to discover that other people were into the same kind of music as you, especially around your age?
There really wasn't many of them. I mean, I found a couple guys, you know what I mean, around the neighborhood, and we just kind of, you know, just started listening to the same stuff. It was coming out. I mean, like, we're talking like grade school and stuff. I mean, I knew I liked metal in, middle school, So it's like played the 8th grade talent show, you know what I mean? Did that Scorpions cover. So it's like, I mean, they had music classes in there too. You know what I mean? Like they had all kinds of instruments, man. I mean, the school, music teacher was very, very schooled, man. You could just tell, you know what I mean? Just his demeanor, really smart up here, man. You know what I mean? Knew what he was doing. So like, I mean, it was he didn't listen to anything that I liked, but you know what I'm saying? It was like, we were able to talk music and stuff like that, and I would just listen and soak it all up like a sponge. But like there was, I'd say about maybe a handful of guys that had liked metal in grade school. That was pretty much it. Because I don't know. I just was never one of those followers. And I'm not saying the other guys were followers. I don't know. I mean, a lot of them are like, oh, I like this music. I listen to this music so I can get girls or whatever. It's like, well, you could get some pretty slamming looking girls like in metal too. So it is what it is. But there was a handful of us. I was always the black sheep of freak somehow.
Sure. And I'm just kind of another question I had for you too was, you know, I want to say, when was your actual kind of first show, and who was it with, and how was that whole thing get started for you?
8th grade talent show. That was it. We played Rock You Like a Hurricane. And we had an original that we wrote, which was really cool. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, it was 2 guitar players and a drummer. You know what I mean? It was like, it was just, it was slim finding people liking that kind of stuff. But, we were friends. We hung out all the time. You know what I mean? And I was playing guitar. Oh, I started playing drums first. Then I switched. And at this time, around 8th grade, I wasn't playing drums anymore. I was playing guitar. But what I learned in drums really, really, really helped me with my timing, especially with like off times and stuff like that. Like, all the weird shit that that I'll come up with once in a while, it's like, it helped me a lot, but with learning the drums first. I can't read music or anything like that, but, my ear's always been good to me. You know what I mean? And, you could give me any song, I'll learn it. I'll play it for you. No for no.
So
Sounds like a jerk off thing to say, but I mean that's how I became a musician at all. You know what I
right,
mean?
right. Well, everybody starts somewhere. So with this talent show and whatnot, I'm just kind of curious on the differences of the reactions with the cover song compared to the original song, because the Scorpions, there might not have been a lot of people that knew who the Scorpions even were, especially in the 8th grade, right? Talent show in 1980, whatever, 84, 85 or whatever. But I mean, what was the reactions to each of these? Were they about the same because they thought both of them were originals, or?
No, you know what? I don't really know what the hell people thought, out there. You know what I mean, in the audience, because there was no singer. I mean, we just played. I mean, we just played the music. You know what I mean? And we played the song, but it was like you were lacking stuff. I mean, we just didn't care. We just wanted to go up. See, that was the thing about metalheads, man. I just wanted to go up. I wanted to make some noise. I wanted to play. I didn't care. You know what I mean? It's like something about I don't know, playing in front of people. You know what I mean? I didn't experience it until that day, right? So basically, it was like it's what you would want to see, man. Like all the young girls that you're friends with or not friends with, you think they're cute, or whatever. And they're like, yay! And it was just really cool. It was like all the students really dug it. You know what I mean? The parents were like, okay, very good, very good. Come on, move along. But we didn't care because we didn't care either. So like we played the after we got done playing that song, then we played the original. It definitely should have had more riffs in it than it did, and it was pretty long for having the amount of riffs that it did. But it was still cool. It was heavy, and so then after we were doing that, it was like we were totally over time, you know what I mean? And we just didn't give a shit, you know what I mean? And then my drummer, my buddy Pete, he goes into his drum solo and he's like, fucking curtains just start closing on us, dude. I was the fucking best, man. But it was just like we went out, we were like, yeah, everybody was screaming, man. It was fucking cool, dude, I had my 15 minutes of fame that day, We all did, we had fun.
So that's what solidified you to say, this is what I want to do. I want to be in a band. This is it.
Oh, dude, I just felt the energy from people. You know what I mean? I feed off of it. You know what I mean? It's like, I've played in front of, this. I've played in front of mosh pits. I've played in front of people just sitting there staring at you, looking at you. You know what I mean? Whatever. It's just like, hopefully somebody comes out liking something, out of the set. You get one fan out of a crowd. It's one more than you had, even though you want 2, 3, 10, 20,
Now with this whole thing, obviously you formed your first band with a couple of your buddies around school. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this might be the only show with that said lineup.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We were called the Virgin Killers, by the way. I forgot to tell you. So we did like the Scorpions, you know what I mean? But I liked, we liked the Uli, but Rock You Like a Hurricane came out, and that was actually a really good tune. You know what I mean? The key of V is just fucking awesomely heavy. Chunk, 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 chunk. That's just killer, So like, I was totally drawn to that. I'm like, oh my God, this is killer. So we had to play that song. You know what I mean?
No doubt. So I'm just kind of curious. So what kind of transpires after this town? So do you immediately start to notice more bands around town and start to form your next project in question, or did you just kind of like just get better as a musician and then kind of wait to find the right guys around town? Or
okay, so really what I did is there was just like kids that I knew from school. Like there was this one kid, Keith. Man, he was like a little Neil Peart, man. I mean, he was just incredible how he took to the drums. You know what I mean? He was the one that brought me to start the drums in the first place. He was like, hey, Ben, if you ain't got nothing to do, he's like, let's, play some drums, man. You know what I mean? Get into some stuff. I'm like, yeah, I never thought about drums, but, let's do it. So that's how I started. So it was him. And he was incredible, this kid. So I would go over his house. I'd bring my combo amp over there and we would just jam, you know what I mean? But like being that he was as good as he was with the beats, he would throw some shit at you. You're just like, wow, dude. Like, bands I'm listening to really ain't throwing that kind of shit at me, It just really wasn't like the metal. It was fucking Rush, man, that kind of stuff. So I really started needing to keep up with this kid, man. You know what I mean? And I was just like, every beat I'm hitting a note and just fucking around. And then, then like we would have other like, kids in the neighborhood bring their guitars over, man, and we would just, just jam, but we weren't a band. It was just like jamming or whatever. But, when Keith and I would get together, it was like, I could always tell that, he would come up with something, and then what he was playing, like whether he was playing a song or if it was just a beat or whatever, I heard what I heard coming out of my head, and I would just start making some, some sort of noise and hitting some notes that he was doing. And like, that just kind of helped me with some dexterity, I guess, instead of the bar chord thing. You know what I mean? It was like, there was a lot of drums going on, and I was like, all right, I'm playing boring bar chords. Fuck that, So just messing around with a little bit. And then, I got into Rush and stuff like that. And yes, and there were some musicians out there, man, that were, incredible, man. We could go on for a million years, you know what I mean? It's like talking about how good people were, Chris, 10 years after, Alvin Lee, dude, that guy was a little shredder, man. That guy was good, there's just so many good players, man, throughout the history of rock and roll and all that shit, man. I just tried to absorb as much as I could from as many of them as I could,
So where did it go from there then? Did the the metal like really start coming into play more so at this time?
Okay, so we're talking at the end of 8th grade. Okay, so then I'm going into freshman year. So yeah, I did. Um, After jamming around the neighborhood and stuff like that. That was after the 8th grade talent show. So that was like definitely helping me. Playing with live musicians really helps. You know what I mean? It's like because there's life in it. There's a soul. There's playing. You know what I mean? It's feeling. You know what I mean? Is it just you know what I mean? There's a little bit of lag. You know what I mean? A little bit of flavor. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that kind of shit. Like I really like took a lot of attention to, but I didn't really start my first band until I got into high school, and I was already into so you figure I went in at like what 84, so heavier shit was coming out. You had Exodus, you had Metallica, you had Overkill, you had stuff like that. So I ran into a couple guys that liked that kind of stuff, but no singers, no singers. I mean, when I tell you, it was just, it could have been just the area. I mean, I'm talking Berlin, New Jersey. There was really, I mean, we had the Galaxy, but I mean, they were metal, but they were like more of the, I mean, I don't want to insult any of them. I mean, because, but like glam, to me, they were glam, you know what I mean? And a lot of that was going around. And then, then you had other bands, like us. I mean, we just kind of came up and we just started, cranking the fucking distortion and the volume and stuff. And so it was me, my buddy Brian, and it was actually Brian Chicano from Vicious Circle on Cryptic Void. I met him through a girl I was teaching guitar to. He was her boyfriend. And she was just like, and I'm telling her, I'm like, I'm trying to get a band together. I was like, but I can't find anybody that likes anything other than like AC/DC, and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, fucking amazing stuff. It was just, I was just listening to different stuff. You know what I mean? It was just like, when Maiden would come out, I mean, I just gravitated towards anything that was heavier, faster, more metal, more against the grain, I mean, I didn't, I really wasn't, it really wasn't a popularity contest for me at that point. It was just, I was just drawn to it. It made me feel, like alive, you know what I mean? Like the blood flowed through you, you know what I mean? I don't know. I like the feeling of it. It was like a rush, So we, and it was, okay. So it was Brian. So I gave him a call and he was like, yeah, sure. Let's do something. So it was him and he brought, his buddy who was Rick. And he was a bass player. Then it was me and my buddy Doug, which was a kid that I went to school with. It was his older brother. So he also played guitar. And then we had this drummer, Brian. And we were called Not Tas Evil, Satan Lives Backwards. And we were like doing the, the fucking heavy, everything that was pretty much out in 84, you know what I mean? And before that, I mean, we've already hit it at the import sections and, the record stores and stuff. We always found the heavy stuff, man. So, we were very much like, like a Slayerish type of era type of thing. You know what I mean? Satan lives, baby. You know what I mean? It was like, Satan's cool, God's gay, whatever the fuck you want to think. I mean, when you're a kid, So it's just like, I mean, it was, nothing against anything. I'm just saying, it's just the way you think when you're a kid. You don't think that way when you, at least you shouldn't think that way when you grow up. But you know what I mean? It was, that's what we wanted. We just wanted to be, evil, and we just wanted to be, scary and heavy and stuff like that. So that we never even really did much. We got together and all it did was just made me a little better. You know what I mean? As a guitar player, you know what I mean? We were writing all originals. We, I think pretty much like every metal band, like warmed up with like Black Magic, you know what I mean? From Slayer. So like, that was kind of how like, all right, man, you're cool. We can play together. You know what I mean? You could play Black Magic, So that was kind of like the thing. It was kind of funny, but yeah. So that's kind of how we got together. We had some good tunes, man. We really did. We just never really did anything. Didn't record or anything, Played a couple times in front of people. Nothing big, So then when that split, then then I went to another band. Started another band.
So this is the time that you're talking about. This is during the Satanic Panic, if you remember that well. Is Is that so? What I'm getting at was, what was your mom still supportive of what you were doing, or was she just like, I don't like that, it's evil, that's satanic?
Oh yeah. Oh, she went through my room. She ripped my posters down quite a few times. It's really funny because I remember bringing home Destruction, Sentence to Death. Okay, so you remember the intro, right? The end is near. So it's like my mother, I swear on a stack of fucking Bibles, guys. My mother, she heard that. She come in my room. She's standing at the door and she's like listening to me listen to this thing, and her eyes are open, like, you know what I mean, like a deer in headlights. And she goes running in her room, grabs the fucking rosary beads, man, starts praying for my soul. It was funny, man. I was like, Mom, I was like, it's just music. You know what I mean? See, because I always related that stuff to horror movies. My mother was a huge horror buff. I grew up on horror movies. I was completely desensitized to death, blood, gore. Although Joe scared the fuck out of me, man. Ruined me still, till this day. She took me to see it in the movie theaters. So I was like 4, 5. Yeah, man, fuck that. That's bad. That fucking movie is the scariest movie ever fucking made, in my opinion. Because that shit could happen. You know what I mean? World ain't gonna jump out and fucking eat you. Shark will.
Well, so I'm just kind of curious why, in your opinion, of course, why your mom couldn't separate that in music as opposed to that in movies, because essentially it's the same thing. It's just, as you had mentioned before. I don't understand the.
Purely Satan. It was she was afraid of the devil. Like every time when I was a kid, every time when the Exorcist trailer would come on TV, you know what I mean? She would jump up right away. Oh, turn it off, you know what I mean? And then I get scared. I don't even know why. I'm like, eh. So it's like, I'm sitting there crying. I don't even know fucking why. But like my mother was like deathly afraid of the devil. So like anything having to do with the devil scared the hell out of her. And it was like, that was just straight up blatant. Like you never heard anything like that back then. At least my mother never heard that coming out of my speakers. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that was a fun time, Then, but it's like, look, I'm not going to say I was a Satan worshiper or anything like that, even though, Satan was cool and this and that. And, I mean, it was just, I don't know. It was like I related that to scary, to just horror. And like I liked horror, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a Hallmark type of movie guy. I'd rather watch a horror movie, you know what I mean? I'll eat some spaghetti while someone's getting an autopsy. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me,
I love it. So around your specific area, what were some of the venues you were playing, or was this more of a backyard party scene? Because again, I don't know what scene it was. I don't know what the scene was like around. I'm going to say 85, 86, 87 in
Yeah,
your
we had to make
specific
one.
area.
We
Yeah.
had to make one. Yeah, we had to make one. Metal just really wasn't that popular. It just really wasn't. You know what I mean? I mean, Ozzy, everybody kind of liked Ozzy, but everybody was into the Zeppelin and, and all that kind of stuff. And, Leonard Skinner. And hey, look, I don't put any of them down. You know what I mean? They're all richer than me and they all got songs that are, more popular than mine. God bless you, man. You know what I mean? Good for you. It's just not my thing, but it's incredible music. And I'm not going to say it's bad. I love it. I think it's great. I wouldn't go out of my way to put it on the radio, to put on the TV. I mean, on the, put a CD in or something like that. I would put something else in, you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that if it's on, then I'm like, pussies. They were, I mean, they were talented as hell, man. I mean, they had some good shit, and hard stuff to play. It just wasn't my thing.
So in creating the scene and whatnot,
And
did
that's what
you
most people were doing, and
right?
cover bands,
Oh, okay,
you
okay.
know,
It
a lot
wasn't
of cover bands, that but most of them started off that way. And then you had, like I said, I mean, you had your girly metal bands, you know what I mean? And even though they were talented fucking musicians, and I'll say till this day, some of the girl, the glam bands out there, they had the best goddamn guitar soloists, man. You know what I mean? They played the best solos. They did. They were tasteful. They were good. It was amazing, man. You know what I mean? Really. So, I mean, they didn't suck as musicians. They really didn't, you know. you want to dress up like that. It always kind of boggled me how they would get girls by looking like that. I was like, what the fuck? I don't get it, And I was always a big fucking ogre anyway. So you put me in spandex, dude, I'm gonna be like, you go laugh at me, dude. You know what I mean? It just wasn't me. I'd paint my nails, makeup. I just wasn't into that. Or even the corpse paint didn't even exist back then. But I wasn't into any of that either. I'll go up with any shirt. I don't care. I just go and play.
Right. So immediately after your first project kind of dissolves, when does Vicious Circle become an entity and you start to now record demos and whatnot?
Okay. So after Not Das Evil split, right? Like I said, we had a lot of good songs. I mean, practices were awesome. If I had any, tape to those, I mean, it's good. We split up. So then I ended up meeting Dave in high school, my drummer for the original drummer Saran, right? So, and it was funny because I walked by his desk, and you know how you have the brown paper bag, book covers. We had like Wasp and Metallica and a Merciful Fate. He had some stuff written down there, and I was just like, I was like, let me sit and talk to this guy for a little while, right? Did not look like he would like heavy metal at all. I mean, he had no like inclination of like thinking this guy liked metal. Short hair, glasses. Members only jacket. I mean, good dude though. And we became friendly, and he played drums, and we just kind of he was playing like the Dio stuff and like like Rainbow in the Dark, and I mean and like the simplistic drumming stuff. But then like after he and I started hanging out for a little bit, and I left the other band, we had a really good drummer. And like, don't take this the wrong way, anybody, because it's like, even Dave himself, you know what I mean? This is how we became us. He played drums, but he didn't really play this kind of stuff. And it was new to him. And the stuff I was introducing him to, he was really liking and stuff. So anyway, basically, I'd go over his house all the time after school, and, I'd have my guitar and my amp over there. And I would just like, all right, man, look, just try to keep up, do this and that. And let's, get some riffs going, just to learn something, you know what I mean? And it was like, he really kind of learned we learned around each other. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to sound like, I'm a pompous fucking ass or anything, like I'm Mr. God or something. It was just, I was just a little bit more into it than he was. And we were friendly, and he liked the stuff. He was a drummer. And like I said, pickings were slim, man. You know what I mean? So it was like, I wanted to see if you got to have the bro factor. You know what I mean? It's like, you could jam with the best musicians on the planet, but if you're a prick fucking bastard, you're a prick fucking bastard. You know what I mean? And I just, I don't care. I don't care how big, how much you've accomplished and all this and that. I will give you respect and all of that stuff and everything that you deserve. You know what I mean? But, there's no reason to have an attitude and that you're better than this one and that one. So I never really pushed it that way with Dave, but you know what I mean? It was like we were friends. So I was allowed to break his balls. You know what I'm saying? So like, I used to break balls all the time. I mean, he and I, we just had that relationship. We were just, ball breaking constantly. You would swear we really did hate each other, but we didn't. But, but that was kind of the way it was. You know what I mean? We would insult each other, and we were like, it's like, if I was struggling, trying to play something that I was trying to figure out, and he was just like, yeah, whatever. You're this guy. You're that guy. You know what I mean? Fuck you. You might as well just quit. And I was like, fuck you, Dave. Like, there. What do you think of that? So it was kind of like that. And, so then, I would come up with a riff, and then he would come up with a beat. I'm like, that sucks. Do another one. And he would be like, fuck you, Vin. And it was just we just kind of evolved with the things that we were listening to. You know what I mean? Metal Church. I remember him really being a big fan of like Kirk Harrington, right? I think that was just the drummer's name. Yeah. I mean, that first Metal Church in the Dark, they were fucking killer albums, dude. I mean, Flotsam and Jetsam, you know what I mean? No Place for Disgrace. That's the album. I love that album. That was good. So, see, now then, when he and I started jamming, I had introduced Voivod, you know what I mean? So like Voivod was always one of those obscure fucking bands that I didn't know what to think when I first heard them. I was like, War and Pain, I was like, what the fuck? This, wow, dude. I was like, this is fucking picturing myself, man, like, like fucking like shrapnel just like fucking all around you, you know what I mean? It was like, it just felt like war. It was just, it put me in like a visual in my head, like what I was listening to. Like I said, like a horror movie, but it wasn't horror. It was just, I had like stuff in my head. I was like envisioning, like, what could be going on and what that would be the theme music to, you know what I mean? And I don't know. So, brought over War and Pain, and and I think War was out then. So when War was out, we would listen to that. And we just didn't want to be doing the same old thing that everybody else was doing. And, we always gravitated to heavier stuff. So like, I don't know, we just kind of evolved together, I mean, I can't say that I would be how I am today had I not done that with Dave. You know what I mean? I might be completely different. It was just, you work with what you have, and you work with, you know what I mean? The talent that these people have and what they're hearing in their head. You can't just command, do this, do that, da, 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 da. So it's like, stuff that he would throw at me as he was getting good. I mean, because he had a terrible kit, man, terrible. I could have gotten Folgers cans and they would have been better than the one that he had, right? So I was like, look, dude, I was like, if we're gonna like really pursue this, I was like, you need to get a real kit, man. You need to get a real kit. He gets the biggest goddamn fucking Ludwig that you could picture. You know what I mean? It was like, I mean, his mom and and her boyfriend helped him, get it and all that. But like, dude, he had like fucking like a million piece, dude. You know what I mean? And it was just like, but it was cool. I was like, fucking hey, dude, it's killer. Black Ludwig, man, let's fucking do it. And we would, he would just go down every day, whether I was there or not, and he would just practice. It was just, he wanted it then, and he really wanted it bad. And I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he threw some stuff at me that was fucking incredible, man. You know what I mean? And we definitely grew from each other. So
how long after this did you guys start recording demos?
Well, this is Denial, though. It's Vicious Circle didn't even start. But then again, we have Brian Chicano. All right, so I might be lagging a little bit. I'm a little slow sometimes. So, so right after the Not That's Evil thing split, you know what I mean? Like I said, I got Dave and brought Brian Chicano back in because he was it, man. He was the only singer that I really, really knew that was doing the stuff that I was liking and playing and stuff like that. So, Chicano and I, we've been in 3 bands together, So, so we got that, and then a couple of the other guys from high school, Mike and John, we all got together and we just started writing some stuff, and it was brutal thrash hardcore. We always had the hardcore because I'll tell you, you move when you go to a hardcore show. You know what I mean? I like the mosh pit. I like the feel of it. I just think that, you know what I mean? I never really used the word breakdown or any of that bullshit. To me, it's a mosh riff. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like a fucking killer, dude. You know what I mean? It's like you just see the pit exploding, and hardcore had it, man. You know what I mean? Metal had them, but they were still, everything really came from punk anyway. So like, I mean, hardcore was really kind of a little bit more developed than metal doing that kind of shit anyway. So, was really big into the hardcore scene too, so those guys knew how to fucking mosh, man. You know what I mean? They knew how to get a pit started. So to me, I always liked that, you know what I mean? So I never really liked a genre 100%. Does that make sense? There's always things that, whether I didn't write it, I'm not playing it, it's not mine, I don't own it, but I could sit and listen to something that somebody wrote, and it would just be fucking incredible. You know what I mean? It would be it's just insane and just great. But that's not what I would do, I guess. You know what I mean? So it's like, I liked certain aspects of different genres, and I just kind of mixed them together. So, we were doing the real heavy fucking, Slayer, Dark Angel, fucking, I think Bathory was out then, maybe, you know what I mean? Possessed, stuff like that. So we were doing that. And then, you know what I mean? Then you had fucking, Agnostic Front, you know what I mean? And you had, Christ, man, Crumbsuckers. Crumbsuckers are fucking amazing, dude. One of the most underrated fucking bands, dude. I'm telling you now. Beast on My Back. Guitar players, man, let me tell you what. If any of you out there have never listened to that album, please, please do it. Just do it. You'll thank me. You'll thank me.
Well,
You will.
it makes a lot of sense that you're saying hardcore because obviously New Jersey it's East Coast. East Coast to me are the kings of hardcore. I mean, California has a couple bands that really made an impact, and Midwest do as well. But to me, the best hardcore bands come from New York and that specific era or area. So it makes a lot of sense why you would be exposed to that. You know what I mean? And have that influence you and whatnot. So I'm just kind of curious, and it sounds like Vicious Circle is your personality only. And where I'm going with this is because you like a lot of different types of music, and so it just that explains the overall sound, I would say, of Vicious Circle. So, but in the beginning, you were a little bit more raw and whatnot, and recording the '89 demo. What was going through your specific guys' minds at that time? Because was this recorded in a garage or an actual studio
Mm,
or
it was recorded in a home studio, but it was really, really nice studio, man. It was okay. So Denial split up. We got together again. You know what I mean? And I was the only guitar player, so we didn't even waste much time. We tried out a couple people, they just couldn't do it. So we were like, okay, let's just fucking move forward. You know what I mean? So we wrote some songs, and we had a bass player, and on our first demo, I mean, he was in the band, but we never played a show live with him or anything like that. You know what I mean? And he stuck around till the recording was over, and we went to a friend of his, and he ended up knowing this guy Bill Barons from Mastermind, who's another incredible fucking band from around my way, from New Jersey, Browns Mills. But so we went over to his house, and this guy just had his shit together, man. You know what I mean? And now I'm used to recording. I'm lucky if I get a good recording off of a fucking dictation machine with a pillow over top of the fucking microphone, so you're not blowing it out. So that was our kind of demo. You know what I mean? We were just like fucking, it's like, it's a little hard to hear this, but pay attention. It was just the way it was. But like, this guy had it together, man. And we worked off of 1/2-inch reels and 1/4-inch reels, so there was really no digital. It was all analog, and we basically just went in. We set up, we played live, played it live. The guitar, bass, and drums. So what you're hearing there, it's live. You know what I mean? I went back and I overdubbed on the solos. We went back for the vocals, stuff like that. But we just went. We sat in this fucking the way his studio was like his living room or whatever. So he had his own little corner, and we're just like set up. There's fucking couches and shit. So it's like the drums are here. I'm here. You know what I mean? And Mark was over here, and we're just fucking playing. He put the headphones on us, and we were just playing. And we played it live. Every song on the '89 demo was played live, and then but I only did one guitar track, for rhythm. So I think he put like a doubler on it to thicken it up a little bit, or bounced it over to the other speaker. But it was raw as hell. But and it came out really, really good. If you ever get a chance to hear that '89 demo, it was pretty good. I mean, Bill did a great job, and he was the one that ended up recording Cryptic Void for us. And we did demos after that, but we went back to Bill because Bill had his shit together, and we went to a different studio though. But so basically, I mean, we just basically got the band together as quick as we could, VC, you know what I mean? And we had some return members. Chicano came back, and then so we wrote a 5-song demo. I think it was 5 tunes on it. Yeah, so we wrote 5 songs, and then after that, the bass player just he just moved on to doing something else, and we were like, dude, whatever. It sucked. We were upset. We were like, fuck, dude, what are we gonna do? So then we were held back trying to find somebody to play, and then one of the local guys was in a band, Mortuary. His name was Dave. And he was like, I like you guys a lot, man. He's like, let's, I'll get you out of the basement. Let's go out and play. So, he only had 5 songs to learn, really, you know what I mean? And like, I was in the middle of writing some other stuff for the newer stuff, but you know, so we just went up and we just, we were playing G Willikers. There was a place by us, G Willikers, man. It was in Pennsauken, I think, dude. It was a crazy fucking place. You know what I mean? And they allowed all the heavy stuff, and you could have a mosh pit, and you had the bar on the other side, completely separated from the room that you play in, the stage and stuff. So, I mean, man, that place was real. That place came to life, man. Phew. There was some serious shit that happened at G Willikers, man, and I love it. I mean, it's just a part of my history. That's where I started. I started at G Willikers, and then we moved into the Bonnie's thing. Then we did the Galaxy. Then we just started, and we were like a plague, dude. We were starting to infect other clubs, that didn't really want to do the heavy shit. You know what I mean? But people wanted to see it, So we were doing it, and a lot of the clubs didn't really like a lot of it to happen, But I mean, it is what it is, Got in trouble with the Galaxy. We got escorted out by K9 units at the Galaxy, but
So
anyway.
as you're gaining your audience, and obviously it happened quite quick. How long did it take you for JL America to approach you, and how did that happen?
92. We put out a couple demos before that, but then we came up with Fist of God. And Carl, the guitar player from Dandelion, recorded that in his apartment. He had a mobile studio. What a fucking killer demo came out of that. Now, let me tell you, that was a great sounding demo. And that demo is going to be has been remastered by Craig. And we're reissuing Cryptic a couple months. He remastered that whole album. Sounds fucking incredible, man. But he also remastered that demo. That's the demo that got assigned to JL America. Every one of them songs are on Cryptic Void, right? So anyway, we had a manager that at that time, and I don't know. JL America was like one of the I think you had JL America, you had Wild Rags, right? You know what I mean? So you had like stuff like that around. You know what I mean? Not really much. I mean, I think of course, Megaforce Records was around. You know what I mean? And you had Metal Blade, and you had the bigger ones, but I mean, we weren't really even shooting for any of that, I mean, you send stuff out, but you just kind of know it's like you don't really see. There was a time where I thought talent had everything to do with you getting signed and someone wanting to put money in you and stuff like that. So, I lived in a disinformed bubble for a very, very long time, man. And then a lot of shit got real, and you started to really see what it was like. You know what I mean? And it was just kind of disheartening. You know what I mean? But I mean, there really wasn't many bigger labels supporting that kind of stuff. Because at that time we were getting into the death genre. We were experimenting with the death metal vocals, but we still had the thrash vocals. We still had the hardcore feel. I mean, it was like, I don't know. We were so hard to categorize. You know what I mean? At least in my mind. I don't think we're specifically anything. I just say that we're brutal music, really. I don't even really know what to call us. People have their own definition and what they want to call us. And it's amazing some of the descriptions that you hear of people, like, that they'll describe the exact same song, but like somebody will hear something and you'll be like, huh? Like, wow. It's like, hey, good for you, man. Do you like it? Then beautiful sounds just fucking like it. Whatever. As long as you like it, you know what I mean? That's what it's about. But like, it's amazing the amount of things that, people come up with some comparisons, man, and a lot of the times people would hit me with bands like, oh, you remind me of this band. I'd be like, I never even fucking heard of that band, man. It's like, that's cool. It's awesome. But I mean, it's like, it's weird. You know what I mean? How like, people would say, oh, you sound like this band, you sound like that band. I'm like, who are they? I don't know who they are, but I'm sure they're good. It's like, let me check them out. I check them out later, but so anyway, yeah. Did I answer your question?
So I got to go off at this point too, because you're mentioning labels and whatnot, and I'm just kind of curious for you guys personally, how much did radio and tape trading play into your guys' popularity around this time, or none at all? Or what was the most beneficial towards your guys' sound and vicious circle around this specific era, around the mid, or I would say early 90s and whatnot?
You're saying like influences? Am I understanding
How
that?
much, yeah, how much did radio or tape trading or tape trading play into your guys' exposure, I would say? Did out in I would say early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, pre getting signed to a label and pre debut album.
It was a lot of like word of mouth, you know what I mean? The people in the crowd, like, oh man, you got to check out this album. This album's gonna be coming out. You know what I mean? Like I remember when Onslaught came out. Fucking loved Onslaught, man. You know what I mean? I liked a lot of the European stuff more so than the American stuff. So that was kind of, I think, my first, because whenever you would go to the import section, there was always something fucking just despicable there that you just have to buy. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it was good. A lot of times it was bad, but like back then it was heavy and you didn't even really notice if it was that bad because it was really very undeveloped. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I mean, it was definitely tape trading too, though. You know what I mean? Because like, I mean, we had friends, putting stuff in our face all the time. Oh man, did you check this out? Did you check that out? And then like I said, there really wasn't a lot of local bands that that we had to listen to. You know what I mean? And that we did have Faith or Fear though, and Faith or Fear were the heaviest motherfuckers around at one point. There was nobody heavier than them. You know what I mean? And so they were definitely good, but like I mean, they were probably the one band locally that I mean, besides Overkill, but they were different.
I'm not even wait, but I'm not even talking about other bands. I'm talking specifically for Vicious Circle. Did tape trading play a part in you guys getting more exposure? Did you start to?
Oh, okay, right, okay. So I'm sorry. So for exposure,
correct.
We had a manager before that. Before we had the one manager that we had, I'm not really mentioning his name, but we had this guy, and the guy that we had before, his name was Chris, and he was real big into the scene. Exposed us. We were just the type of guys, like I said, we thought like, it's gonna be talent, dude. You know what I mean? Wait till Metal Blade hears this. You know what I mean? Wait till fucking, whatever other labels out there, Century Media, Roadrunner, blah blah blah. Wait till they hear it. They're gonna fucking love it. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's okay. But it was like it's kind of hard to explain if it really it was, we just wouldn't have known much about it because we just we had a different mindset. We didn't really think about all that other stuff, and we always wanted to send our stuff out to get reviews. You know what I mean? So we always wanted that. So but I mean, Chris kind of brought it into a different light. You know what I mean? And he was like a really good PR guy before he was a PR guy. Like he actually worked for Mazer, I think. I don't know if you ever heard of them or whatever, but they were pretty big PR company at one time. He just had that mind. We didn't. We were just musicians, and we are just like, yeah, someone's gonna find us. We'll be discovered somehow. Like I don't know, man. We were just fucking idiots. I mean, we just didn't. We would believe what other people would tell us. You know what I mean? And some people had had your they had your back. Other people didn't. But this guy, Chris, did, and he just fucking exposed us. We were in all these fucking fanzines, man. We were in all kinds of stuff. I mean, the big boy we had was Chris Forbes. We had metalcore. So, he would always come out to the shows. I mean, he would just get his own fucking demo and be like, I'm going to review this motherfucker. So, I mean, he was just that guy. I mean, and he was always there, man. He was a big supporter. So, like, you know what I mean? It's like he knew about metal. So, you know what I mean? When he would give a good review, it's good. He give a bad review, it's bad. But so like it led from getting pretty popular and people starting to know the name and stuff like that. And then we started branching out, playing other places, playing different states. And like, he was helping us out with that. He was actually the one that introduced us and Ripping Corpse together and, Human Remains and, the North Jersey, we were the South Jersey, they were the North Jersey, but we were mainly the one band that was playing with those guys all the time, you know what I mean? And Revenant, you know what I mean? And so, I mean, it was just, yeah, we were the one South Jersey band playing with the North Jersey band, bands up there, and that's kind of how it all started. And then it just branched out into like other things. This was when people like, didn't really care if you were metal. They wanted to put you on a show. You know what I mean? It was like people were excited when there was a metal band out. You know what I mean? And they wanted to hear your stuff and they wanted to put you out and put you in front of people. So it was fortunate that we were around when people were very hungry for this type of metal. All of a sudden, it just started to get popular, and then people wanted more and more of it. But we never dove 100% into any genre, so we got overlooked a lot. Either, people would try to view you as like, well, too heavy, not heavy enough, a little bit of this, you're not that. It's like, we don't know how to market you. We used to hear a lot of times, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I was listening to all the kind of jazz and stuff like that back then. I'm just like, how does that stuff sell? I mean, it's like when you listen to that shit, man, it's just like it's like a fucking, it's like a mind trip, man. It's just like, some of that stuff is like beyond what you would imagine people would do musically. And it's just like, and there's a market for that. But, it is what it is. Things were like that back then. See, me, either you're metal or you're not metal. You know what I mean? That's the way it was back then. Either you were heavy or you weren't heavy. You liked metal, you didn't like metal. Now there's so many fucking genres. People are like snubbing this genre of metal because they like this style of, genre of metal, blah, 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 blah. And it's all personal taste. That's good. We didn't need all these subgenres, man. That's just my opinion. I don't think we did. It depends on how you look at it. I mean, it's like, because a lot of people call bands genres that they don't call themselves. So it's like, it's weird. It's like, how people find each other, it's like they figure out how they like this sound or whatever. And they want to, to stick with that. I mean, it's just like, metal was experimental anyway. So like, how everybody started sounding the same was because one band was starting to make it. Everybody was starting to like it. So they were like, well, hey, if I do that, then people are going to like me too. You know what I mean? But that's being a follower. And you know what? It was successful for a lot of bands. It wasn't successful for us. We were just wanted to do our thing. And, whoever liked it, liked it. You know what I mean? And, that was just kind of it. But, that was pretty much how it started was, with this guy, Chris, man. He just knew a lot of people, and there was a scene that we didn't even know about. You know what I mean? And it wasn't really around us. I mean, there really wasn't much of a scene in the South Jersey, for the real heavy stuff, until Bonnie started letting us in, you know what I mean? Bands like us and, and then the Galaxy, so we had a bad exit on the Galaxy show, but, it happens. You know what I mean? We didn't, it wasn't our fault. You know what I mean?
Well, sure. And I'm not to cut you off here, but I'm just kind of curious. I want to switch topics a little bit and ask you specifically because you guys are a one guitar band. And I'm just kind of curious how you fill out the sound with a one guitar band. How does that happen? Because I've always just been so curious where certain bands with one guitar player can just have this massive sound to it.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, whenever there's like, I'm doing a guitar solo or something like that, like Mel, my bass player, really fills in. You know what I mean? He's not so much, that's when he'll click the rat pedal on, it'll give the distortion, it'll be a little bit heavier. And it just fills it out a little bit. It just gives you a little bit more. So, my solo, you know what I mean? It'll just ring, just blend a little better, I guess. You know what I'm saying? It won't just be like, like a sore thumb, like some guy just fucking wanking out, So like, I can't say that I didn't at first write like a two guitar player guy, you know what I mean? Cause like, I would always do a lot of things, in the studio, but I always kind of found loophole ways in order to fucking play that stuff in a way to where it's not noticeable. Because I don't want to record something and not be able to play it live or like have a whole part missing. It just doesn't work that way, So, I really didn't go too far into the two guitar player realm, which would have led me down a completely different thing. You know what I mean? Different path, because I mean, we all studied from the Judas Priest, the Iron Maiden style stuff, then you had the fucking H team, you know what I mean? They were the best, in thrash, them too. So I learned a lot off of those guys. So like I did kind of gravitate when it came to USA bands. I liked the Bay Area. I think I liked, I like New York and all that stuff, and Philly. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, that was the area we were coming from, but like, when it came to like discovering other things, you know what I mean? It was the Europeans they were always coming out with stuff, man. I mean, they had Creator coming out, dude. Like that to me was as fucking deathy and black metal as you're gonna get. Some of that stuff, man. I mean, when you hear some of the vocal changes between Malay and Venter, I mean, it was just like there was total black metal and just screechy thrash, like deathy shit coming from Malay. You know what I mean? I always kind of thought that in my head. You know what I mean? That they were definitely heavier than fucking straight up thrash. Just wasn't, it wasn't speed metal, because you had speed metal and then thrash got a little bit more into the fucking heavier themes, more death, more gore, shit like that. And then, you know what I mean? And then, you just kind of progressed, you had your Slayer Hell Awaits type of stuff, and that just kind of escalated, but, so yeah. Did I answer the question? I'm
Interesting. Well, no, so I think a lot of it probably comes from the tone and whatnot too of your guitar and whatnot. But
so the one guitar player thing, definitely my bass player though. I mean, that's the answer. I mean, he filled me out when I needed him, and then he goes back to doing what he does when I'm back in on the rhythms. You know what I mean? We were always a team, me and Mel. And we just blended together really, really fucking well, man. You know what I mean? It just always worked. No matter what I would do, he would come up with something that would really sound good. Because at first I was writing the bass lines and doing all that kind of shit. And then after he and we wrote the song Mutated Form. We wrote one of the riffs in Mutated Form together, and he did a completely different thing than I had said. Oh, yeah, play this. And this is, what we should do. He came out and was like, do, 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 do. I was just like, oh, I was like, that's fucking awesome, dude. That's killer. Keep it. So then I never wrote any of his, I never tried to influence him much on his bass lines after that. I just let him go. You know what I mean? And we just kind of evolved that way. I mean, it was just really a 3-musician thing. You know what I mean? So it was like, Mel found his way and he filled out Dave. He followed Dave, and then he followed me at the same time. It was, he did double duty without even really, doing the double duty, other than just making it come out of his bass and just helping out, filling shit out. So that's really it live. You know what I mean? Now, in the studio, I could do a million things, but if I can't pull it off live, people are going to enjoy it. It's going to suck. And I don't want to do stuff like that. If I'm going to do stuff that I'm not ever going to perform live, man, I'll write you a fucking symphony, man, crazy fucking shit. But if I don't have to play it live, I'm one guy, it's different. I think a lot of missing parts, I don't think it's good. It might sound great on the album, but if you can't do it live, it's kind of really not you guys.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So I always used to bite my tongue a lot. You know what I mean? I was always like, I didn't want to go too overboard and, have all these things that I just can't I just can't play live, or just sound like something was missing. And then it would sound like it wouldn't sound full, like you said, with like Mel, there's just certain things Mel needs to keep going. And he wouldn't be able to go off on a wild fucking stray like I'm going off on, and, or whatever, at that time. And if you just do too much, you can't do it live with one guitar player. And we didn't have none of that, the tracks playing in the background bullshit. I mean, we didn't have any of that. Not that it's bullshit, but we didn't have it. You know what I mean? I mean, fuck, I had one tone and I fucking made it work for me. You know what I mean? Rhythm, solo, dry as fuck. You know what I mean? It was like if I had a sound man that wanted to throw a little bit of, delay or reverb, on my solo when I'm playing live, that was a bonus. We were lucky to even fucking play clubs that you would even get mic'd up. A lot of places we would just, just plug in and fucking play, and they wouldn't even give a shit. As long as you could hear the bass, you could hear the guitar, and you could hear everybody, that was your volume, I mean, that's just kind of was back in the day. If you wanted to play shows, you weren't always going to be playing clubs that had sound systems and all that kind of shit. VFWs, places like that, rent a place out, or somebody will be kind enough to let you use their business area, you know what I mean, when they're closed or whatever. But that worked out bad too. We played this cake place. This kid wanted really good guy, man, and he wanted us to play for his birthday. So he worked at this bakery, this cake place, right? So we go and we play. Man, by the time the end of the night was done, I mean, the fucking holes in the fucking walls, the place was fucking trashed. I mean, trashed. Do I agree with that? No, I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the right thing to do, but man, it fucking happened, man, you know? So where did you guys go? Did I like lose you guys on your
No, we're
video
still
cam or
here.
something?
No,
Oh,
we're
okay.
still here.
Yeah.
So
So anyway,
as
yeah, that was that.
right on. So as now let's move on just a little bit. So after you record your demos, you were talking about getting a manager that you particularly don't like talking about. Was he the
Everybody
guy?
in the vicious circle knows who the fuck this guy is. You know what I mean? And I have no comment on recent things. I mean, all I'll say is this: I wouldn't have played the shows and I wouldn't have done the things that I have done had he not been involved. Okay,
Mhm.
I cannot take that away from this fella.
Mhm.
He was fucking good at what he did. No matter if you liked the way he did it or not, he made it happen. And that had nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? He was with us, you know what I mean? And he was working for us in order to get things done, in order to get the things that are going to help us, move forward, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So, like, I'm not going to say I condoned everything and, didn't know a lot of the way things happened. But, I mean, I got to play with some of the bands that you're never ever going to be able to play with again, man. You got, key members dying and stuff like that. And like a lot of things happening. And I don't know. I mean, I was just like very fortunate. I mean, we never really put any money in our pocket, and we were playing like Wednesday to Sunday almost every week, driving to fucking Connecticut, and then driving back. The same fucking clothes I'm in, going to fucking work. You know what I mean? It's still got the equipment in the back of my van. Dropped everybody off, and I'm like, sitting in the parking lot, until it's time to go in. And it was, it was just grueling. But you know what? It's what we needed to do, and that was the part where we needed to step up, and we were like, all right, man, look, we want to fucking play these shows. We want to get to this level. Let's just do it. Fucking go during the week, book the fucking show. We would never say no. It's like, oh, you want to play with Death? Fucking A. You want to play with, fucking Sacrifice? You want to play with, I mean, we played with so many of the bands, man. And it was just really fucking awesome, dude. I mean, I feel very honored and privileged to have even been a part of any of that, dude. You know what I mean? It's like, we weren't the headliner, we weren't the big bands or whatever, but before Jail America, we were opening up for these guys, you know what I mean? And then Jail America, just because you're on a label, people think you're more relevant for whatever reason, and that's great. And so we were going up there and we were getting more shows, and things just really started to fucking happen, you know what I mean? Then our singer quit, fuck that up.
Well, right. So, can we go to just the Cryptic Void record and even recording it? And it's regarded now, in the Vicious Circle, as a, it's a record that still holds up and is still enjoyed. And I'm just, what do you attribute that to?
Cryptic Void we're talking about?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay.
I just want to make sure, because we're talking about the clout with the fucking tape trade, and I'm like, like listen to this band.
Well, let me clarify it real quick. Let me clarify it real quick. So, Cryptic Void, the album, is regarded as a record that still holds up in
Classic.
today's. Yeah, it's a classic, right? So I'm just kind of curious, in your opinion, what you attribute that to. Is it the sound of the record? Is it the songs? Is it the whole collective? Is it the style of singing? Is it the album? Like, what do you attribute that to?
Well,
All the above.
probably all the above. I'm sure being on Jail America with Beharit and all the other bands, that have gone bigger and all that and got more popular and stuff. I mean, that was the one label that had a lot of good fucking bands on it, man. You know what I mean? We had a lot of good bands, and a lot of people had, sprayed off to do certain things. You know what I mean? Like there was this band Mutilation that, came out when we would play with these guys all the time, Well, Rob ended up being in MOD and propane and stuff like that. And, he got had a great career ahead of him, man. And then some of the other guys from Mutilation, that same band, I think they're playing in Generation Kill now with Rob Dukes, right? So, it's like, and Bahara, and there was a couple other bands on there, that went on to do, good things and stuff. So I think it had to do with the whole Jail America Association at that time when death metal was just really starting to mature a little bit more. You know what I mean? There was a little bit more. It wasn't a clean slate, but it was enough in order for you to do what you wanted, and nobody would really tell you it was wrong. You know what I mean? It was just kind of your take on it, and and you just whatever you morphed into. That's kind of the way it was back then, because there wasn't all them subgenres, man. You know what I mean? There was hardcore, there was heavy metal, there was glam metal, there was fucking thrash metal, speed metal, and then death metal was starting to come out, and I gravitated towards it because it's fucking heavy, and it was just something that it was just another thing to just kind of move over to, and just since it was so new, I wanted to fuck around with it a little bit more. You know what I mean? And I don't know, just kind of do my own thing. You influence, but you don't influence too much to the point to where you saturate yourself as being, oh well, if you sound just like this band, you know what I mean, you might be fucking killer. I mean, killer, man. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are, but I mean, if you really have that much of a similarity in your tone and your sound and the way that you present yourself with your band and stuff like somebody else, I mean, it's cool and all. I mean, and I'm not saying that you deliberately rip the bands off or whatever. It's just that that's your influence. That's what you hear. That's what you want to hear, and, but Vicious Circle was never really like that, I don't know. I was like you said, only guitar player. I'm writing the riffs, I'm liking this, and this fits with that, and this fits with that, and fucking, hey, let's fucking do it.
I think you guys, and I think you guys were doing something and had your own unique sound at a time when it wasn't the norm. It was kind of like
Right.
you were doing something. You were kind of ahead of your time, I would say, on this specific
Thank
sound,
you,
and
man.
why it still holds up all these years later. Do you know what I'm saying? So
I do.
you're doing something at a
I mean, I don't
time.
want to. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I wrote it, so it's like I don't want to sound like, yeah, dude, fuck yeah. But I mean, I see what you're saying, and it's like half the shit that I even found out about how people felt about the album is just searching the net and stuff and finding people putting you on lists and stuff. You know what I mean? Like most overlooked metal albums or whatever, or top top whatever number death metal, black metal albums in the 90s and stuff like that. So it's like I'm like, wow, dude, that's fucking awesome, man. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, I feel honored, man. It's like, I don't feel any other way than to just be like, I made that kind of effect on enough people in order for me to make it to a list that are I'm on a list with a lot of good bands that I listen to and that I have respect for. You know what I mean? So it feels good to someone like me, because like what I mean, I'm never going to be that rock star head. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not ever going to treat people like, oh, like I'm a rock star, or pretend I'm a rock star or whatever. I just don't, like I said, this is me. This is how I act. You know what I mean? Like it or not, love me or hate me, dude, this is me. You know what I mean? So, I don't know how else to really be, but I don't know. I mean, I just think like we just got popular because I think it was just at the right time, I guess, even though we might have come out a little bit late. I've heard people say, oh, if they only came out a couple of years earlier, that kind of thing. But, couldn't really help my age, man. You know what I mean? I was kind of young,
Well, I think
knew
it
less
came
than
out
I
at the
did
right
then.
time.
I guess, man. Yeah. I mean, I don't, a lot of it was a blur, you know what I mean? Because I mean, we were just writing, and I was just like, all I wanted to do is wanted to put out an album. I just wanted people to hear, what we were doing, you know what I mean? And that's all I cared about, you know what I mean? It's like I just wanted to make sure people dug it and people liked it, and not in an unhealthy way, but like in a way in order to fuel you, man. You know what I mean? Give you some food for fucking to continue to go on, man. You know what I mean? It's like and I found I guess I found that, and I don't know. People just really felt it, I guess, through the music. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know why it kind of took off like it did. I don't know why a lot of bands take off the way they do. You know what I mean? I don't know why a lot of bands fail the way they do, and they shouldn't. And it's just one of those things, man. You know what I mean?
So, if you remember back in the day, you had posted something on Facebook just the other day about it. That when Metal Maniacs released that JL America sampler, and yours was the second to the last song on the entire tape. I had the tape. I got it, and that's how I heard Vicious Circle, and it was the song, as you know, Fist of God, which is probably one of the greatest songs on that whole compilation tape. So when that came out, when that compilation came out, was the album out already, or was the label already closing down? Because
That came
at
out
that
before the
time,
album, I believe.
before, okay,
I believe that might have been 92. I think they came
yes,
out in 92, and then we came out in 93. They released the album. That was like the sampler, Cryptic Voids coming out on Jail America, because, yeah, that was the whole brutal aggression thing, I think, right?
right, and
Yeah,
and
that did come out before the album came out.
okay. And the reason I was asking was because right after that, they disappeared. I couldn't find anything on that label. Beharit was out, Immortal was on the label, Samael was on the label.
Right, right. Yeah. See, that's
Um,
what I mean. Bands like that were on there, yeah.
yeah, and it was just like, well, what happened? You couldn't find. I couldn't even find Vicious Circle. I had to go all these years after until when you signed. I mean, we're talking way later. When you signed with Crash Music, that I was able to finally hear the whole album of Cryptic Void. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we that was disappointing, you know what I mean? It's like, we had a couple labels shut down on us, you know what I mean, that we thought, was gonna, do something, we got, signed to it or whatever. I mean, we did do a tour in support for Cryptic Void. Only one though. There was more to come, but the label didn't last. Um I don't even really know what the exact reason was that everything kind of fell through. It was just kind of just like, it's like, here, man, like this is going to happen. It's going to be cool, blah, blah, blah. And also it's like, nah, that's not going to happen now, man. Shit happened. I'm like, fuck, dude, what the fuck happened? But, I mean, like I said, a lot of things were going on at that time anyway. But, you know, um, I don't really know why they disappeared. You know what I mean? But, I guess enough people had copies of our stuff, because what they were doing is they were gonna, from behind the scenes, they were selling shit online. You know what I mean? Like, probably from the label, making money, trying to get rid of the stash that they had.
I think the
So
problem was that they had too many bands at one time,
yeah.
and they just ran out of money, and they couldn't suffice themselves and keep pushing.
But then, but then there was like a lot of people making Cryptic Void that I didn't sign any fucking contract with them. You know what I mean? I signed a contract with Keith LaRue, fucking Jail America. When that contract was done, that's my stuff, dude. You know what I mean? It was a license, you know what I mean? Kind of thing. I'm pretty sure that's kind of how it was. Like, he didn't, they, I don't know. Even when you license, you know what I mean? It's like, whenever you're involved in a label, I mean, they're just gonna they'll find a way to take your stuff, and you're gonna have a hard time, releasing your own shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, I haven't signed any contracts with anybody, any label. You know what I mean? Fucking for Cryptic Void since fucking 92. So, you know what I mean? That contract ran out. Everything's fucking void. That shit's mine. You know what I mean? You want it? Come fight me. That's how it's gonna fucking be. Fight me, dude. You beat me up. You have my songs. You don't, I'm gonna fucking kill you. That's that. I'm tired of that shit, man. You know what I mean? There's still people fucking selling Cryptic Void. You know what I mean? And it's just like, we don't get a dime of that. You know what I mean? So anybody out there, don't fucking buy that shit. You know what I mean? If you want to buy it, off of people like somebody that owned it, pre-owned it or whatever, you want to do that, that's cool. You know what I mean? I get it. But like, these people that are just doing it to fucking make money, and they're trying to reproduce. Like, there was a couple, names. Like, I know JL Turbo has started making some. And that was kind of like at the, I guess, towards the end, you know what I mean? I think that was like the overseas, maybe, you know what I mean? The JL Turbo, because then, we had the European distribution through Red, and I guess American as well. But like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, and I have to call bullshit on something you mentioned earlier. Was we selling it online? How can people sell it online in 1993? Because I don't think it was around.
No, right? No. No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's popping up when the fucking internet, and I'm just like, what the hell, dude? So it's like, yeah. So no, yeah, you're right. We didn't have it back then, but your stuff always ends up popping up,
Sure. And I don't mean to put you down. I was just going to call bullshit on that specific
No,
statement
you're right,
because
100%. It's like when the internet came out, that's when I started fucking realizing really what was going on. I never got a straight answer on what happened, with Jail America from our manager at the time. But then at that time, we did the one tour, the Titans of Terror 2 tour with Fear of God and Chaotic. So that was great. You know what I mean? We got to go out with Fear of God. They were on Warner Brothers. You know what I mean?
Don Crosby.
Stuff like that. Dawn, man. Yeah. God rest her soul. She was my buddy, dude. She was my tour buddy, man.
One of the most underrated female vocalists ever of all time.
She started it all, man, with detente and stuff like that. Like, she was one of the strong, the stronger female.
Yeah. Well, the chick from Sacrilege, I want to put out there too.
Yes, I remember Sacrilege. Yeah, they were great. I had that album. It was like a green cover, wasn't it? The green cover had the Reaper on the cover.
No, it was a black and white cover. It was called Beyond the Realms of
of Death or something. Beyond the Realms of Death. Yeah.
No, Beyond the Realms of Madness or something
Madness,
like that.
Yeah, I had it though. I had it. Yeah,
it's an amazing album. But so you have her, Lev Leone, Doro. You had a bunch of killer
Sabina Klassen.
Yeah. Right.
Brutal.
Did just some of the best ever. But Don Crosby, I always put in there as like number 1, number 2 with Wendy O. Williams. So you can't deny any of them.
Wendy O. Williams, man, hell yeah.
But anyway, so moving forward, so you do the one tour. What transpires in the 90s with this 4-year gap in between Cryptic Void? You released the album, and then Live Long and Suffer, the EP and whatnot. And why not put out another full length in between this time period?
We had problems finding a singer. It's really what it was. We had some people try out, just didn't really work out. And then Brian Cook shows up, knows the whole fucking album, every fucking song. How do you deny that? We're just like, he sounded completely different. You know what I mean? It was like, he sounds like he sounds today. You know what I mean? He's just like, he's just a lot more, developed. But I mean, he was still that raw fucking from the gut. I mean, you felt him. It was painful, but he sounded completely different than Brian Chicano, but he knew everything and everything just worked. I mean, we could play a show right away. We had songs written, and that was for the 94 demo. So they were all written before, Brian joined, but then Brian joined and we just gave them to him. We were like, dude, write, we'll go out, we'll play Cryptic Void or whatever, you know what I mean? And, we'll get this new stuff incorporated. And that's kind of how it started. So we did 94 demo with Brian. And then, it took us that fucking long to really find him though, man. It was just, it's a shame. You know what I mean? The way things happened and the way that we handled them. Could have handled them better. Could have handled it more like a business instead of like a brotherhood of friendship. We waited around for people that we shouldn't have waited around for. You know what I mean? And, it happened 2 times. You know what I mean? It happened, Brian Chicano quit. I mean, we did have a falling out with Brian Cook. You know what I mean? He needed to tighten some shit up. You know what I mean? And, then we gotten, our singer from the Art of Agony, you know what I mean? And then, we had tours lined up. We put the album out. We recorded a video, you know what I mean? And the day after the video, he's, coming up with some, like anxiety or, panic attacks and some sort of stuff. And it was the day after the video, but you know what I mean? Hey, I mean, who knows, could have happened. I'm not going to call the guy a liar, but you know what I mean? It's like, we should have got rid of him right away and we should have brought Brian Cook back way sooner. And we probably would be in a better situation with the label at that time. And, with our booking agent, which was our old manager, so he wasn't really managing us. but he became our booking agent and pissed everybody off. You know what I mean? Like, that just, we waited around for him and he ended up quitting anyway. He didn't get any better, so then, everything got lost, you know what I mean? And then basically what we ended up doing is we just abided by the shows that we had left that we already had booked before, we lost our singer, so singers have definitely been a big part of our gaps between albums and stuff like that. And then there's, just that disappointment, man. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm not a quitter, you know what I mean? Obviously, but it's just like, I don't know. I refuse to let anybody fuck this band up. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not the whole reason why people come to see this band. So if you think that you're going to destroy this band by quitting, fucking do it. Peace out, bitch. I don't need you. I'll replace you. Who knows? I could become an asshole. They could replace me someday. What the fuck, whatever.
I want to go to a more positive light and just ask you about the differences.
I don't hate those guys, by the way. Before we go any further, I don't mean to cut you off, but sounds like I'm bitter. I was bitter at the time because they fucked our shit up, man. You know what I mean? It's like Jail America got fucked up anyway, but things happened and then we lost our singer. Then things were going good again. You know what I mean? And then we were having problems with Cook, and then then we had a little bit more downtime with that. And then then Daryl jumped in and fucking we put out this album. We were ready to go. We had a whole fucking game plan, dude. I mean, we had it out, dude. I mean, and we had 3 tours lined up, man, from one to the other to the other. None of it happened, and then he ended up quitting, and then that fucked us up. And then we just played these shows that we that we already had booked, and then that was it. They washed their hands of us, and that was that. I mean, we could have handled shit better, man. You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't complain and say, oh, woe is me, boo-hoo. I'm a nobody because of this, that it's just the way things happened, and our lack of knowledge with the business. Like I said, I always thought our time's coming, man. Sooner or later, someone's going to listen to it. That's going to be the right person. That's got a little bit of money to throw at us. Because I don't care who you are. If I throw money into a band, if I'm a millionaire and I throw money into a band that's completely fucking horrible, and I tell everybody, they keep seeing their name and it just keeps saying, it's like, you're programming people, and they're all going to believe that it's the greatest thing since sliced bread when they're not even writing that stuff. I mean, there's corporations that put bands together and they send you the fuck out. You know what I mean? It's just, everybody worships you and you had nothing to do with it just by singing or whatever. That's good. But I don't know. You know what I mean? It was just one of those things, it's just, it's a shame. You put money into somebody and you're going to get them popular. It's just a matter of time. Put them in front of enough people, you start playing in front of these fester, you get, you're playing. I mean, that's what helped us. Playing in front of all these big bands, you know what I mean? Opening up for these guys before Jail America. People started to know about us, you know what I mean? Because now, a fan of Overkill or a fan of this band, that band, Entombed. I mean, Morbid Angel. The list goes on, man. I mean, it's the list is amazing on the amount of bands that we played with, and I'm honored to have played with every one of them, man. Really, made people remember us. Jail America made people remember us. Of course, the music, but that's your exposure. Just playing those, you know what I mean? So I guess that's pretty much how it all happened. Just getting out there, and that's all we need to do. Just get out there and just fucking do your thing, play in front of people. You're not going to make everybody happy, but people that are into that kind of shit, they're going to like it, and that's kind of like what happened. So that's, I wouldn't change any of that for the world. All the money that we didn't get and all the fucking bullshit that we went through and the labels that we lost. It would have been nice if, things would have happened a lot earlier for us. I mean, I didn't know anything about the business. I had no connections, and, band member calling up somebody, from fucking, Megaforce. Yeah, how you doing? I'm Vinny DiBianca, I'm Vicious Circle, and, you should check us out, this and that. You know what I mean? They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they're bad people, but, they have a protocol and a procedure. And I just didn't, you could do unsolicited stuff. And that was pretty much what we did all the time, just sending the labels, every demo that we would do. We really like you, but we can't sign you because of this and that, da da da. Whatever. It is what it is. You know.
Sure. Well, I want to switch gears here a little bit and just ask you about the differences in recording when it came to the Cryptic Void record and the Art of Agony. When obviously technology is going to be play a huge part in this answer, but I'm just kind of curious for you, did you switch up anything as far as your technique goes? Did you, I mean, were you a little bit more comfortable with the new way of recording around this time, or?
Well, I wasn't as much under pressure like when Cryptic Void. I mean, you had to cut the tape and all that if you wanted to do a splice or something like that. So Bill and I, we became really, really good friends, over the years. But it's just like, when we first started working, he was like, all right, look, I'm going to let you know, cutting this tape is a pain in the ass, putting it together, all this and that. He's like, so let's try to play the songs as close to you want them as possible. So like, talk about pressure. Yeah, man. I mean, with Cryptic Void, I'm trying to do everything fucking note perfect. You know what I mean? And trying to have no, punch-ins or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it was just like mentally, yeah, I was under some stress, but I got through it. You know what I mean? We all got through it, and that's fine. And when the Art of Agony came out, now you're going from analog to digital, and it's like, it's a lot easier. So like I go in with the old mindset, and the engineer who was Dan Corniff, who's just fucking amazing. I don't even know what else to say about Dan. He's just, thank God for Dan. You know what I mean? He's taught me a lot, and really helped us also become. I mean, because he exposed me to a lot of things, a little tricks here and there, and a little things that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? And things that made sense, common sense stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, I can make that happen." So it was really cool how things were easier. I was less pressure. But you know what I mean? It's like, I tried to play everything again as note perfect as you can. I mean, that's the goal with everything. Have as least amount of punch-ins as you can and stuff like that. Just try to do it. So, recording's always kind of stressful because it's forever. So you just want to. So like, I'm a perfectionist. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I didn't put, if I didn't, get the, the effect that I wanted out of the note. You know what I mean? If I, didn't, hear a certain thing that I wanted to hear, I'd want to record it again. And then, after a while, you know what I mean? I would either get what I wanted, or it's just like, all right, dude, it's enough. You know what I mean? It's like, we tried, it's just, whatever's not working or whatever. You're not hearing what you're hearing. So, he would always cut me off. Danny would be like, all right, man, it's enough. We tried it, this and that. But I mean, it really didn't go that, didn't really go that way. Really. It was just a lot of pressure was taken off of me. It's just like, I had a lot of freedom. I didn't take advantage of it, you know what I mean? But still, it was there, and mentally, I felt a lot more comfortable.
I want to ask a follow-up question to this real quick. In terms of musically speaking, with knowing how kind of, technology has changed over the years, how, did that play an effect in your writing per se when it came to the differences in Cryptic Void and the Art of Agony?
Really, what changed most in the between albums was the singers. So it was like, really, I was kind of writing the same way. It was just, you have a thrash, death, hardcore singer, then you have a death metal singer, and it's just, I think that's the only reason why it would sound different, because it's like a lot of the songs that I had, like a lot of the songs on the Art of Agony, Brian Cook wrote the lyrics to. Like Daryl sang his style over top of, so
I guess what I'm asking, not to cut you off here, but I
no,
guess what I'm asking is,
make sure I'm answering it right.
well, what I guess what I'm answering is did it your writing style changed due to the technology, because you can add stuff instead of having to play it one time through, you could do it in multiple takes. So I'm just kind of curious if that played any sort of part in that, you wanted to experiment a little bit more this time around, or any of that stuff. I'm just always generally curious with.
I don't think it had anything to do with the studio or the recording freedom that I had. I just I don't like putting out the same album twice, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's just like, and it's like, you have a formula that works. It's noticeable when you continually use it over and over and over. Um, I like to try to change things up, and it was very easy for me to do because we had different singers on all of our recordings so far. Really, So that kind of did it without even really trying. But the only things that really changed, I think, was probably just maybe just my own musical maturity, maybe, you know what I mean? Like just feeling more comfortable putting things in that that aren't that are really against the grain. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say avant-garde or anything like that, but I definitely, as I progressed, I got a lot more comfortable with experimenting and doing different stuff. And yeah, I think it was just really that. It was just, me wanting to try something a little bit weird here or something a little bit there. It's just like, whatever I'm hearing, it's like, I try to, try to put it as best I can and have a solid beat behind it and not get too crazy, you know what I mean, and get all fucking out all left field and nobody be able to know what the fuck you're doing really, So I mean, you gotta have a song, you know what I mean. So always the song always matters more, I mean, just like with my solos, every one of my solos just goes to the rhythm. It doesn't mean that that I can't do this, I can't do that. I'll give you a million notes of measure if that's what you want, but what's it really going to say? It's not going to say anything. It just doesn't. Oh wow, you're fast. You can hit a lot of notes. Woo! Who cares? It's. I always wanted to keep the integrity of the song, and didn't want to just like go, just playing a whole bunch of notes that just didn't really mean anything. You know what I mean? So like, I was always that way. So it's even with rhythms. So like, yeah, I kind of always wanted to do something a little bit different. Just like the stuff I'm writing now. It's not like it's not like precision, it's not. But it is. It is, but it isn't. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm experimenting a little bit more. I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with throwing certain things into the music that I know will work that may not have worked back then. Maybe I didn't know how to I guess maybe place it or perform it the way that it would be the way that it should be, possibly. I don't know how I throw away more riffs than I keep. So I'm a slow writer. I have songs written and I'm like, I don't like it. Let me throw it away. And it's just like, and then I just fucking come up with something else. And it's just, I know when it's right. I know when it feels right. I mean, we all know when it feels right. It's not just me. We all know. You know what I mean? When it's a vicious circle tune. You know what I mean? I don't want to put filler tunes in there and not spend the time. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't have deadlines. I mean, I have deadlines, but it's not like, that I'd be screwing anybody over financially or, going to going out bad on a contract. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like that. I'll make something happen in order to make the contract happen. But if I'm rushed, it's not going to be my best material, and I don't like doing that. I look at it this way. That's the perk that I have for not being famous, for not being on big labels, for not really being, everything that, that I expected it to be like. It's like, I don't have any of that. You know what I mean? It's just like, so it's like, we can take the time in order to do something until we feel that it's right. You know what I mean? And that's kind of really what it is. We write our music for ourselves and just kind of hope everybody else really likes it, get on board or get out of the way.
I'm just kind of curious, and it's going to go back to some of your influences here because you're mentioning experimenting and your rhythms and your rhythm playing. I mean, Al Di Meola, right? I mean, that plays a huge. That it just sounds in my brain how it's translating is there's that's the connection for me personally. Hearing what you're saying and whatnot is the guys like Al Di Meola and the jazz guys and having that plays a huge part in how you're writing and you're experimenting on this particular record compared to say, the others. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
Now
I feel
moving,
that more than I feel the neoclassical. I mean, look, everybody's doing it, man. You know what I mean? It's just like, I sat down, I learned my fucking Ingve, I learned all my fucking Racer X, I did all that stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's easy. It's not at all. Okay. At fucking all. But it's just like, everybody fucking became Ingve, man. You know what I mean? It's just like, he came in, he brought it in, boom. I mean, there's other guys that, music heads will be like, oh, before Ingve was this guy and this guy. And you're absolutely right. There's unknowns out there that are so much better than people that are pros right now. You know what I mean? It's like, the people that you don't even know blow your fucking mind, But, I was more, it's like, I respected it, and I needed to know how to do it. I needed to learn how to do it just in order to say that I did it, just in case I ever needed to do it, or if I'm hearing something, and I'm like playing a solo. It's like, I mean, I may throw a little bit of something that I learned, back in the day, learning the albums, from that. But like, I always kind of went more towards the jazz chord progressions and the note progressions. It's just like it was more dissonant. It was just more. It worked better for metal. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the neoclassical is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Like I said, I mean, I sat, and that's how I became a guitar player. Buying albums, I'm just learning them note for note, man. I'm going to learn this tune. I'm going to rewind it as much as I fucking have to. I'm going to, I'm going to do what I got to do. But like, I felt more like Alan Holdsworth. I felt more Al Di Meola. I felt players like that kind of fit me a little bit better because, I mean, everybody loved Yngwie, and I'll never take that away from him. I think he's one of the greatest on the fucking planet, But I mean, I really, really, really fucking listened to Al Di Meola and the John McLaughlin, man. I mean, Mahu Vishnu Orchestra, dude. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, that is just, where the fuck is that coming from? Where's that come from? Like, what the fuck are you on in order to write that shit? It's incredible. And it's like, and I love it. And people are like, it's fucking noise. I'm like, yeah, well, it's what you hear, but I think it's fucking brilliant, and I mean, and, all the flamenco, you know what I mean? Like, that I would hear with Di Meola and stuff like that. I mean, Passion, Grace, and Fire is one of the greatest acoustic albums ever fucking written, in my opinion. And that song Aspen and stuff like that. I mean, I know McLaughlin wrote that, but Jesus Christ, man, those fucking guys are amazing. So like, that definitely was in my head a lot. You know what I mean? It's like, I just like that stuff. I like the way the note would go from, this key to that key, and I don't know. So I gravitated way more towards a jazz feel than I did the neoclassical. I'll throw a little bit of it here and there, but I mainly just kind of have my own scales that I kind of did because I'm not taught. I make things work, you know what I mean? So it's like, if it sounds good, it is good, if it is right, yeah, it sounds right, it is right. And it's that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm not in a competition in order to, to be, no more than this guy, or always say, like, everybody's always with this best guitar player, best this and that. I mean, it's personal preference. There is no such thing as a best anything, really. You know what I mean? There really isn't. I mean, when a guy sucks, I mean, that's the truth. If you're not really, if you just don't have it, you know what I mean? If you're, if you're still stuck on the same fucking song you've been working on for 6 months, I mean, maybe, try something else, but don't ever give up. I mean, I don't encourage people to give up. I mean, some people take a lot longer than others. And so, you know what I mean? Some people need to be taught, you know what I mean? They need that, but like, I had my ear, and that was that.
Yeah, but wait, hold on a second. Some people need to be open as well, because a lot of musicians are fucking closed and they think they're good. So they need to be open to like improvement.
Absolutely. Right.
Anyway, didn't mean to cut you off. But
you never ever there's always somebody out there that's going to do something that you can't do. But see, that's the thing. The thing is that nobody's going to play my style as good as me. Nobody's going to play your style as good as you. Like, I may learn your song, but it's still going to have my fingerprint on it. You know what I mean? It's still going to be, as close to what, and that's when the ear comes in, instead of like, writing it down on, on paper, on the music, with notes and shit. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, to me, music is a mood and you hear it. So it's like, I may learn one of your songs and play it, but I'm never going to fucking play one of your tunes as well as you're going to do it. Period. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let me butt in real quick. Art is like that too, man. A painter is never going to paint as well as that certain guy. A podcaster is not going to have the same style as
exactly
as you or my point in all this is I think that just that's a general consensus for art in general. That's just my opinion. But,
yeah.
Take it.
I'm just going for my own identity. You know what I mean? That's it. That's really it. I'm me. I'm not this guy. I'm not that guy. Whether I could play his stuff, I didn't write it. I could play it, but I didn't write it.
Let me butt in real quick. You said writing it, so nobody's going to be able to write that specific style like you as well. It plays a huge part. So it's all art in general. Shannon, go ahead. I know you're jonesing.
No, I'm just listening because
Oh.
he's doing a great job.
Oh, okay, because he's all like getting like really close to the camera here. So, all
No,
right.
no, no, no. I'm
I
just
want to
resting
say
my back.
something.
Yeah, he's like.
No, I'm resting my back.
Oh, is that what that
There you
is?
go,
Okay.
bro.
Yeah,
Yep.
He's got old man syndrome here.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel you, brother. I feel you.
I'm just busting your balls here.
I
So
got you.
Yeah.
let's move ahead real quick, Vinny. And I'm just kind of curious. It's been a long time since you guys have released anything, and I didn't even know this came out in 2020. I'm just going to be completely honest. This is like the first time I'm discovering Vicious Circle. So please don't hate me for it. I really do love the band, but I discovered it really
That's all I
late.
care about.
So
You heard us. You love us. I don't care when you heard us, man. That's fucking
so
awesome, man. Thank you.
I again, my apologies when it came to not discovering it until now, but ever since I've heard at least the two records, I fucking love them. And this Unearth Precision EP, I mean, I didn't hear much about it, just maybe because I wasn't familiar with it and whatnot. But I'm just generally curious, in your specific opinion, why EPs kind of never get the recognition that a full length would. Is it because people think that there's not enough effort put into an EP compared to an LP, or the markability to an EP compared to an LP? What is it about EPs that just like never translates, never gets over that specific hump of being well received or accepted?
Right. Probably, yeah. I mean, everybody likes, the new album release because you can't tour off of an EP, really. I mean, you can, but I mean, I guess kind of the way it was presented to me is, EPs are great, you know what I mean? But like when you're looking to do the full package, you got to put out an album, and you got to do the tour, and you got to do the things that kind of come with that. And we put out the EP because that's the material that we had, and and we just put it out, and didn't want it to go away, didn't want it to get forgotten about. So we needed to go in, and we needed to record it as quickly as we could. And then Danny put his foot in the game, and he was like, "Come on, guys, fuck him, let's do it." And it was great, and it was raw, and it was exactly what the fuck we wanted. We didn't want it to be. I'm not going to say that we didn't want. I mean, whatever he did, it was just it's just he got the magic. But I was just like, I just wanted to be raw in your face. I want it to be more like We Are Live in a way. You know what I mean? And I think that those songs, when I play them songs, you know what I mean? Even the harmonies, it's like I don't use a harmonizer. It's like I just play them in a different location. So when I do my harmony, a lot of times you're going to, repeat the initial riff, and then you just harmonize with that riff. Yeah. So I'll play that harmony instead of playing the other one. So it's like I do the progression. So you still hear the progression that you're used to hearing, you know what I mean, live. But, that's just kind of it. I mean, it's like I just wanted to be raw, and I just, I didn't want to be too oversaturated and just to have putting too much into it. I just I liked the way they sounded live, and I was like, man, these are fucking aggressive, dude. You know what I mean? It's like it's bringing, it's definitely bringing the fucking kill mode in, man. So I was like, let's just go with that. Let's just go with as raw as we can, and fucking not go too heavy on special effects or this and that, and let's just fucking right, just fuck you right in your face.
So was it the influence? Uh, how would I put this? From the Art of Agony, okay, from Cryptic Void to the Art of Agony, like, okay, Cryptic Void kicks your face in, but then by the time you get to the Art of Agony, it's a different size boot to the face. So from Art of Agony to this new EP, it's it's like a steel toe to the face. Is there something that, like, do you feel like inside there's something that just pushes you to that next aggressive energy, that next level? Is that just, is that natural, or is that like life experience, or
It's
is it?
it's not forced. I don't force anything. That's the thing. It's like I don't want to put the Art of Agony out again. You know what I mean? I already did that, and it's like I'm not going to say that I completely changed the way I do things or whatever. It's just I I hear different things, I think. You know what I mean? When it goes from, okay, this is the way I look at it. Each one of my albums that we've put out, right? They kind of have their own soul. It's the era, it was the time, it's the way things were happening, and it was just the way things were flooding into us as we were creating. So Cryptic Void came out the way it came out, and I don't think it could have been done better with anybody or any other musicians in it. You know what I mean? It's like it gives everybody's personality. The Art of Agony was the same way. It had a personality. The weird thing about The Art of Agony is there was only a handful of songs that were brand new. Lord of Shit, Fantasia Through Agony, Written in Flesh. Dead Scent was rewritten. It was originally called Dead Scent, but completely different. Daryl took it to the extent that he did, kept the same name, but wrote his own lyrics. But a lot of the lyrics Brian Cook wrote, and they were songs that were Brian Cook, felt like Brian Cook, written like Brian Cook. Well, Daryl isn't anything like Brian Cook. You know, he was way more old school death metal, had a great scream, had, really scary shit, man, brought the horror feel into things, right? So I didn't want to suppress any of that. None of us really did, and we were just like, all right, look, man, The Art of Agony we didn't really know how it was going to come out until it kind of came out. You know what I mean? It was like, you don't really know what you're going to capture vocally here and there. You know what I mean? That album, it was recorded in Danny's house. My guitars were in his bathroom where his mother would go, and my amplifier was in there, and it was, the cabinet was in there. And he got the acoustics and he covered it up with, with a blanket. And it's like what Danny did with that album for us, recording pretty much everything in his house besides the drums. We were in a real studio with the drums. Everything was done, the way it needed to be done, the way it was, has to be. Well, you know what I'm saying? The drums got to be the way they got to be. And then we did everything else pretty much in his house. And that's it. He really did a great fucking job on helping us put that together like that. You know what I mean? The way we were recording it, and, everything was just really, really raw. But then we just said, Daryl, go and do your thing, man. And, and Daryl came up with what he did. And at first, I'm going to be honest, I didn't know what to expect. So I probably wasn't going to like anything that I heard, because in your head, you expect something, something totally better. Whether I had it in my head or not, with the idea, you just expected something better. But then it's like, after, you know what I mean? I just sat and I just listened to it. We all listened to it. And you're like, well, that's Vicious Circle right now. That's who we are now. That's the way he's singing the songs. That's the way we're portraying things. I Remain in Filth was an older song, Fast Forward Rewind, and it was a thrash tune. And we were like, Daryl, why don't you let's see what death metal vocals and death metal feel and death metal mindset. Let's bring the death metal feel into a thrash song. See how it worked. And it came out, and you like that, right? I remember you telling me, Tanner, you like that song. I Remain in Filth, right?
That's still my favorite Vicious Circle song.
And that was completely experimental. That was not written that way, man. That was not written that way at all. That was Brian Chicano, actually. We had that song on. I was on Mutated Form, 1990. See, we don't throw material away. See, here's the thing. When you write music and you change members, and then you give them the opportunity to put their fingerprint on it, it changes things. And the song isn't exactly the same, but it's pretty damn close to the way it was. I changed the solo because my solos were terrible. So I put a better solo in on that one, at least in my opinion. You know what I mean? I'm my worst critic, So I changed the solo, kind of changed a little bit of the picking, did a little bit more fast stuff, you know what I mean? Instead of the, you know what I mean? So it's I had a little bit of that, but then it's just I kind of went, full force with just straight up double bass style things. So I kind of tweaked things a little bit, and Dave, tweaked things a little bit. And then Daryl just came in with his, his lyrics, the way they fit, and it really seemed to work. It was really good. And, the way that he did Brian Cook's lyrics. And the other songs, I think he did a brilliant job on making them his own, because none of them were like old school death metal. I don't know. Like I said, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what to really call us. I don't really care. I'll play with any style band, it doesn't matter. I mean, Christ, we played at CBGB's with all reggae bands. Not fucking one of them were metal. Not fucking one. Not one. I was like, oh my God, reggae bands? I was like, we're dead. They really love this.
Let me ask you something real quick, Vinny. Where being away for so long, and we'll get to what you're doing nowadays, but being away for so long when it comes to producing a record, meaning an LP, right? Cryptic Void and Art Agony, there's an 11-year gap essentially. So I'm just kind of curious. In my opinion, I think that almost helped you to where you could do whatever the fuck you wanted to do on Art of Agony, because it had been so long to where it's like they couldn't compare that to Cryptic Void. Does that make sense? So it's like
Yes,
you can't compare it.
absolutely. Yep.
So it almost gave you the freedom just to do whatever you wanted to do. And essentially with your style, you already do that anyway. So I just think that on top of that, that's why the Art of Agony, to me personally, is almost the quintessential Vicious Circle record, because it's like it came out in a time when obviously you can't compare the two albums. They just came out in completely different times. The singing wise, you can't compare them because they're two different styles, but it also captures the Vicious Circle sound with this new style at that specific time. So I think it would be unfair to compare the two, but for these two albums that came out at their respective times, I think they hold up rather well for me. But I do think a lot of people start on the Art of Agony compared to Cryptic Void. It's almost like that's the go-to kind of record, right? So let's go. I want to ask you real quick too. One of the things is this American Blood Cult project. I can't find any information on it. Yeah, there's nothing on it. So I know it was there a specific debut that was
That
gonna
was
come out?
leaked. That
Oh,
was a
okay.
leaked thing, yeah, because we had when we first started, that's it's at this time right now it's called Old Black right now, and it was a project that me and Jed Simon from Strapping Young Lad put together. We met at a fucking Exodus Creator concert at the Troc. Now, he had reached out to us when, like in 2005, I think he moved to Philly because he married a girl from Queens, and they moved to Philly. And he was like, reached out to us. He was just like, hey guys, Jed from Strapping Young Lad. He's like, I live in town now. He's like, so, let me know when you guys play live. He's like, and I'm there. And we were like, wow, that's fucking awesome, dude. That's really cool. Because I mean, we knew who Strapping Young Lad was. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to say that like, I owned any of their albums or I knew anything about them, but like I heard them, and you know what I mean, and I liked what I heard. I mean, they were different. And they did it right. If you're going to do the growling and the singing, okay, Dev did it right on those albums. You know what I'm saying? It's like to me, it just kind of worked. There's other bands out there that just does not work. It's like you're doing the extreme heavy, and then you do la la la. It don't work, man. It just doesn't work. At least not with me. I'm not insulting you. It just doesn't work with me. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't understand, why would you make the switch like that? So anyway, he had reached out, and I was like, we're all like, that's fucking cool. One of our roadies was like, dude, he was like, that's fucking Strapping Young Lad, man. It's Gene Hoglan and fucking, this and that, da da da. And I'm like, at that point, I mean, I knew Gene Hoglan. You know what I mean? I was like, fucking Gene Hoglan, no shit, right? So anyway, then I guess a couple of years, had gone by, and then he and I, we contacted each other, online, and then we pretty much met up at this show. You know what I mean? It's like, our old booking agent booked the show, so I was on the guest list. Obviously he was on the guest list, from Exodus, right? So like, we kind of just met there, and we like, unintentionally kind of like met at the bar. We're drinking, and like we kind of looked at each other, and we were just like, it's like, you're Jed Simon, ain't you? You know what I mean? And he's like, you're Vinny DiBianca from Vicious Circle. And he had knew about Vicious Circle from tape trading. So that's how he heard about us. And I guess, he was a fan or whatever, as well. And basically he and I, we just talked that night, and he was just like, I want to put a band together on the East Coast, man. He's like, be my lead guitar player. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, let's fucking do this, man. Because I mean, it's like all the disappointments that you had. Like I was never one to. Okay, I guess I come from an era where like you concentrate on one band, you know what I mean, and that was that. You know what I mean? It's just like everybody, they got a million bands now. You know what I mean? It took me a little while in order for me to understand that. It wasn't like you were cheating on me or something like my girl or whatever, but like it was like I don't want to fight for time. It's just like, you know what I mean? If something happens and it's like, and if you have an obligation with your other band, I get it, but that fucking blows for us. You know what I mean? It's like if something comes up or if something needs to happen or whatever. So like, I was never really one of those, I was asked a lot of times, to jam with other guys and, and I should have, and I didn't, you know what I mean? I just kind of stuck to my own thing and that was that. Just wanted to do VC and whatever. But like, you met up with Jed Simon and you're just like, we hit it off really well, just laughing and shit. And then he told me about the band and I was just like instantaneously, it was like, let's fucking do it, man. I'm there. Let's do this. So ever since then, I mean, every fucking Friday, dude, and we over in my house, in my studio back here, and we wrote a fucking killer album, man. I mean, we wrote some good stuff. It's just, we had gone through different members, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about, that leak, you know what I mean? At first we had, Justin DePinto playing drums for us, you know what I mean? And I fucking love Justin. He's my bro, man. And he's phenomenal. But like, so I guess a fan of Malevolent Creation or whatever, caught gist that, Justin was doing something with, Vinny and Mel from Vicious Circle and Jed Simon from Strapping. And like the dude went right to fucking Blabbermouth. You know what I mean? So then like, a picture of us, and then all kinds of shit came out. Like I don't even know how the fuck he got it. I think he got it from like us sending stuff between each other. I can't exactly remember how it happened, but it did leak and it went out. And Jed's a very private guy, so like it was his idea. I always give him executive decision, but we're co-founders, so it's like we talk about everything. You know what I mean? And this has been going on since 2009. So like we have some really great stuff. I mean, he and I are totally different guitar players, but when you put us together, I mean, it really fucking works, man. It really does. And I love the stuff that we're doing. You could tell me, you could tell I'm in there. You could tell Jed's in there. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you mix it together, it just becomes something completely different. You know what I mean? And, there was really no specific singer, you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, basically what it came down to is the current lineup right now, at least we were working with Ash Pearson from 3 Inches of Blood at that time, and I think he just joined Revo, and so he was learned under he was Gene's drum tech, right? And I don't know if either one of you know who Ash is, but I mean he's amazing man, and so he was Jed's friend, and he had come in, and so we have songs that he's learned. We don't have Mel as our bass player anymore. We brought in Byron Stroud, and from Strapping and all that. So that's pretty much the lineup. I mean, it's not happening yet. It's like, when it happens, because I mean, everybody's busy. Ash is busy. I'm sure Byron's busy. Everybody's got their, I mean, they were in so many things. I'm the only one really that, was just like, just in Vicious Circle. And, I mean, I can make my own schedule. I mean, I'm my own man. I speak for myself. You know what I mean? And I take whatever consequences I decide, whatever my decisions are. You know what I mean?
Sure. So let me ask you this real quick, man. Where is Vicious Circle at nowadays? Are you going to be releasing a full length, hopefully in the next coming year or year or two or decade or? I mean, what is going on with you guys right now?
We're writing a brand new album. We in 2020. Craig and Lum from Heathen and was playing with Exodus while Gary was with Slayer. He had just given me a call and he was like, how can I help you guys? You know what I mean? It's like, he was tipped off through a couple people. I know one of them was my bro Bomber from Faith or Fear, because he's working with him with Sublevel Records and stuff. That's Cragen's own label, is Sublevel Records. It's his personal thing, so he can get his stuff out and his but it's like he also puts Heathen stuff through there and Exodus stuff through there or whatnot. But I mean, he approached me and he was just like, how can I help? And I was just like, well, I need to become relevant again, man. I'm just like, I got everything besides my ducks in a row. It's like, we got the talent, you know what I mean? It's like, it's like I got the band, and it's like, and I have this that I could give to you, I mean, we tried to release it ourselves, just because, we decided there's just a lot that happened. It's like, I put VC on a hiatus for a little while. Just some things, kind of happened. I just think all the disappointment of a lot of things just fucking failing just kind of soured a couple guys, and sadly we don't have Dave anymore, you know what I mean? But so that was it's just always a band member, because it's like they're like brothers, you know what I mean? It's like none of us were hired hands, you know what I mean? So it's like I didn't treat Vicious Circle like a business, and I fucking should have. I just didn't. I treated it like it's a fucking band. We're a band of brothers. It ain't me, you know what I mean? I'm not Vicious Circle, it's not one guy, it's all of us, man. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm, even fucking, but I don't care if I'm the only original guy left, you know what I mean? I mean, since we've really ever been anything, Mel's been with me. So, you know what I mean? He's not original, but you know what I mean? He's been there, and, and you put your blood and soul, man. It's like, you're going to commit to me, and we're going to do our thing with VC, dude. You're a brother. You're an equal, man. I'm not taking more money than you or you. If we're all part of it, man. 4 guys, 25% a piece, straight up with everything. Doesn't matter. I'm not driven by money. I ain't fucking rich at all. Believe me. And my financial situations really ain't the greatest. You know what I'm saying? But I work a full-time job. I don't depend on the music industry to pay my bills and all that other stuff that comes with it. And, I'm not saying that you give me the right deal. I mean, I'll fucking, I'll do what you want, but those deals don't really exist. And if they do exist, they don't exist for bands like us. So, I just look at it for what it is. I'm taking music as far as I can. And I brought Vicious Circle back because, I put it down for a little bit. I just think that, we were having some internal problems, and there was just like a lot of senseless fighting and a lot of bullshit. And certain people were money driven and felt that we deserved this and that, and it's like, okay, we paid our dues. You know what I mean? We've been around. Whether people want to say it or not, you know what I mean? We were right there where a lot of this sound was developing. You know what I mean? We were there. You know what I mean? And we took what was coming out at that time, which really wasn't a lot, and we just took it, and we just took it our own way. We just took a little bit of influence. We're like, all right, I like this, man. Fucking Cookie Monster, dude. I was a huge fucking fan. You know what I mean? And, River Bottom Nightmare Band, dude, from Emmett Otter's fucking Jug Band Christmas. Check out the fucking band of Nightmare, man. That is one of the most original death metal songs in mood that you will ever fucking hear. And it's from the Muppets, dude. So it's like this, it's kind of weird that I even say something like that. But like, if you were to check out that tune, you'll see where I'm coming from. So like, that stuck in my head my whole life. And I was like, that like that aggression. I like that. Well, you know what I mean? The genre really kind of came out like that. And we just kind of took what we, just took what we heard and we just went off with it. Like, I don't want to be too influenced, only because I just don't want to sound like anybody else. Everybody else has their sound. They deserve to have that. You don't need me fucking replicating you, So I took a little bit, and you just get that seed in your head, and you get the feel, and you know what it's like. And then you just kind of take it in your own direction. And that's kind of like what Vicious Circle did. You know what I mean? We're not straight up death metal. We're not straight up thrash. We're not straight up hardcore, but we'll give you a taste of everything that's heavy,
Let me ask you guys this, and I want to. It's a personal question. Again, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm just going to ask it anyways. Why do we always have to constantly defend our choices of songs and what we actually like? Because you mentioned the Muppets. It's a fucking song. I was always curious why we have to defend our choices of music in general. It's like, who cares? You like what you like. Like,
Exactly.
fuck you if you
Exactly.
don't like it. I don't know, man. Maybe because I
See,
just
I'm
like
not one guy. I'm not one guy. I'm just that one guy that like we could talk about anything. I'm not going to get offended, man. You know, I'm old school. When I was brought up, you don't talk about religion. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about certain personal shit like that. You know what I mean? But like, I could talk to anybody about anything. I don't really have anything that's that bad that that I really couldn't say or whatever. But dude, I don't want everybody to think like me. Are you kidding me? The fucking world would be fucking destroyed. So it's like I mean,
would be.
I like,
It is.
yeah, well, right, but I like healthy, conversation, man. It's like if you don't agree with something I say, I'm not going to be like Mr. fucking Macho and be like, "I'll fuck you up." Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, talk to me. I mean, let's talk. You know what I mean? It's like well, I'm not going to agree with everybody, and everybody's not going to agree with me. But you know what I mean? It's just like you got to be a free thinker, man. And you and today, everybody's afraid to speak on their mind. I mean, I'm used to putting my foot in my mouth, and I'm used to defending my mouth. You know what I mean? It's like like I said, I'm not Mr. Tough Guy or whatever, but I mean, I'm a trained fighter, dude. I mean, I got a big mouth. If I say something, you don't like it, we're gonna fight. That's cool.
That's cool, dude. I'm the same. Me and Shannon are obviously the same way. That's why we have our own fucking program here. So we do whatever we want, and nobody can kick us off because it's our fucking show. So for Vinny,
Exactly. But I don't get offended. Like I could talk about anything, and I'm not going to get offended if you don't agree with me or if you say something completely fucking outlandish. I've run into so many fucking freaks in this world, man.
To put my 2 cents in, Tanner, real fast. You were asking why do we always have to defend ourselves? It's because there's always somebody out there who has to cut you down because you liked something. So for Vinny likes the Muppet song.
it's fucking awesome.
Okay, but at the same time, which I did see, there's somebody out there who's like, why do you like that? You're a fucking
Right.
idiot. That ain't even fucking death metal. That has nothing to do with fucking death metal. What are you trying to prove? So then you're having to, well, if you pay attention to how fast it is, how aggressive it is, and the fact that animals on the drums shut your face. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I see it. It's that
Well,
there's always somebody cutting you down, and even I'm guilty of that.
and that's fine. But like a lot more people will cut you down through a keyboard, and they're not going to fucking say it to your face. There a lot of people don't have that fear of getting their teeth knocked the fuck out for saying something that somebody may not like. And I'm not saying that that's the right thing. I'm not saying violence is the way to do things. I'm just saying people say some shit, man, that you really shouldn't be fucking saying to other people, man. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't no fucking preacher. I sure as fuck ain't holier than thou. I am a sinner, big time. But I have respect for people in certain situations where they deserve respect, whether you like this person, whether you don't like this person. It just doesn't matter. It's just the point that, like, I have enough common courtesy to give somebody their say, and that's that. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what to say. It's just, but that's the way people are. Social media destroyed every fucking thing because I'll tell you right now, there's going to be people that are going to be watching this interview with me and you guys, and I guarantee you, by the end of this fucking thing, I'm going to say something that's going to tweak somebody. And you know what? Fuck you. I don't care. I don't care if I tweak you. That's how I feel. I'm not out to hurt you. I don't even know you. And it's just like, but I was raised the way I was raised. I believe the way I believe. I'm 51 fucking years old. You ain't going to change me, but I am way open to fucking acceptance and a lot of shit. But you want to come at me a certain way, I'm going to come at you back in a certain way. And we're going to see who the fuck lasts. You know what I mean? And, I think people really need to lighten the fuck up. Find a sense of fucking humor. Lighten the fuck up. And just because people don't play a style of music you like, they don't suck. I'm telling you, you know what I mean? There's some exceptions, Shannon. But other than that, bro, that's just straight up because you got something to compare it to. It's just like, dude, you were this and now you're this. It's like, what the fuck happened to you? It's like, would you drink fucking, Drano?
Right.
I think Vinny, you're allowed on this program anytime you want. We love
Thank
you.
you, dude.
I just think more people need to get laid. That's just my opinion. But
Fucking A, man. Fucking
um,
A.
but
Fucking A.
Vinny, obviously people can go check you out at Vicious Circle. Hopefully you got a band camp. Hopefully you got a website. So give us all the links real quick before we get out of here. And I want to thank you both again for coming on and doing this. And let's fucking do it. Hopefully relatively soon.
Yeah, man. Fucking A, dude. Thank you for having me on, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's like, I don't really get much of this, so it's like I just appreciate having the exposure and having the opportunity to do this. So I'm very, very thankful to you both. You know what I mean? Me and Shannon, we've known each other a long time. You and I were new to each other, but like, dude, we're bros, man. I know how you are, you know what I mean? And that's all I need to know. I don't need to know more about you than I do, and I already know that you're a fucking cool dude. You know what I'm saying? It's like, too many people everybody's got their fucking darkness, man. You know what I mean? You're going to find something bad about somebody and everybody. It's just look at people, for what they are and accept them for what they are and treat them as such, But anyway, thank you, dude. I really appreciate the opportunity, man. Really. It's just fun. Yeah, I'm just sitting here. So this is a fucking killer, having some fun. Okay, so the links are, I do believe it's Vicious Circle NJ dash Bandcamp. And pretty much Vicious Circle NJ, you can pretty much find anything with us because it's, we had come out, in 88, I do believe there was, like we said, there was no internet. So I think there was, another band, Vicious Circle, that was like a punk band from Australia. How the fuck would we have even heard of them? You know what I mean? So it's like, that's one thing. But like now it's like, a couple Vicious Circles popped out here and there, blah, 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 blah. Not even like us, you know what I mean? But, hey, whatever, and that's cool. So like we always use the Vicious Circle NJ. We're like, we're the Vicious Circle from fucking New Jersey, man. You know what I mean? You know how to find us. And that's pretty much the key words. So, I think our Facebook is the same thing as Vicious Circle NJ, for Facebook. And then you can check out Sublevel Records. You can find our stuff on, anything Sublevel Records and find a lot of other good bands too, man. So it's got some good fucking bands that, have definitely earned their fucking place. You know what I mean? So, it was pretty cool. And it's an honor that Cragen reached out. See, that's the thing. It's just like, we blew 2 chances, guys. You know what I mean? We fucked up with the JL thing. I mean, it wasn't so much us that fucked that up. I mean, I know JL America fucked that up too, but the Crash Music thing, that didn't need to happen. That got fucked up. But we got not many bands get a third shot, a third chance. And this is ours. And this is ours, man. And you know what? And I fucking really, really, really appreciate everything that Cragen's done and everybody that's helping out with us now. And I'm not letting anybody fuck this one up. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to run the fuck over you this time. I mean, I don't care. You're in the fucking way and you ain't going with the program. I'm not saying my band members or whatever, but like, just, I'm wiser now and I'm not going to let shit stop me. You know what I mean? So I'm going to keep going.
Good to hear.
I'm not going to make the dumb decisions that we did back then. You know what I mean? It's like you want to be there for your brother and all that, but you got to treat it like a business if you want to go anywhere. It sucks, but it's the way it is. It really is.
Well, to go off of your point too, not a lot of bands get a chance, let alone 3. So you should be so fortunate as that goes. Man. But Vinny and especially Shannon, thank you both again for doing this with us. We really appreciate it here. And for another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys, we're out of here.
Fuck yeah, man.
Cheers.